It was supposed to be a fairy tale, but fairy tales lie. She was my everything, or so I believed. One night, I stumbled upon a truth so vile it shattered my soul. There they were, wrapped in betrayal. Fury ignited within me, a relentless fire. I hunted him through the city, driven by vengeance. Each step echoed her deceit. Each heartbeat pounded with rage. Our home, once a sanctuary, became a prison of shattered dreams. I became a shadow, consumed by the darkness she cast. This is my tale of love, betrayal, and retribution. This is the night my life unraveled. Don't even think about it. Think about what? Her. And who is her? And why not? My new pal Lucas leaned back and smiled. Her name's Pauline French, like the company you work for. Her dad owns our place and 3 others. So why does that matter? He let out a sigh. I knew her from school. She got noticed a lot by the 7th grade cause of her looks and her dad's cash. That mix made her think she was above everyone. She got boys to do whatever she wanted, then dropped them when bored. My wife, who went to college with her, said she kept doing the same thing. Huh, still sounds pretty. His wife joined us and heard the end. Yeah, she's still on the market. We were all around 28 to 30. If she was still alone, there had to be a reason. I said so, and Chloe smiled. You met Bob in receiving? She was going to marry him. But then she met another guy on a work trip, ditched Bob, and flew off. Turned out her new guy was married with kids. He tried to set her up in an apartment, and she left him. His job was cut when his company lost her father's business. She stayed away because she felt bad, until her dad made her come back. She's his only kid, she'll get everything. Even if she wasn't good-looking, guys would still be around her. How come Bob's still there? Well, he started working for her dad way before they even got together. And he's good at his job. Heard he thought about leaving, but her dad got him to stay. Plus, he's married now with a kid, about 2 years old, and there might be another kid on the way. I gave her another look. The woman was tall, even without any heels. Her dark hair was up, showing off how thick and nice it was. She chose that moment to turn, saw me, gave a little smirk, and then turned back to the person she was talking to. From just that look, I could tell she was pretty and had a lot going for her. If I hadn't heard bad things about her, you'd never guess she wasn't nice. But that smirk kind of said it all. I've seen that kind of smirk before. I tried to forget about her and focus on remembering the names of the people I met and what they did at the company. Knowing stuff like that is always good. After about another hour, I said goodbye and left. The next day, I found a park and went for a run. I used to not like running, but now I actually enjoy it. It's nice to just run and not think about much, just the ground under your feet. Running's become so normal for me now, sometimes I catch myself thinking about all sorts of things while I'm doing it. I keep myself pretty fit. Back home, they have this challenge called the 3-mile run. It's a tough race. 3 miles to the mountain, up and down the mountain, and then 3 miles back. Just finishing is a big deal, never mind racing it. I didn't make it the first time I tried. I got too tired after the mountain part. I got real good at making goals and hitting them. And 4 years on, I won by like 3 minutes and hit a record on the track. How? I watched the first run on YouTube and was wowed to see that the army guys did it with a 60-pound bag and their guns, all while singing. I ran till I could finish the path, then got a backpack and started to add weight. First was 10 pounds and it nearly killed me. When that felt okay, I put in 5 more pounds at a time till I could take 25 pounds and sing the whole way through. By the end, I was all muscle, no fat. That fall, the folks running it brought in a group of those army guys for a show. They were all muscle and thought they could beat anyone. They said running it without a bag was easy. We all started together, but by the mountain, they were way ahead. I pushed a bit and got in front of them 2/3 up. They joked and yelled, but one guy got mad and tried to push me. I saw him coming and stopped quick. He fell and rolled down the trail a bit. No one helped him. If going up a hill is tough, try going down fast. By the bottom, I was so ahead, they couldn't catch up. It was 3 minutes before the next guy, one of the army, came in. I had caught my breath and gave him water. Thanks, he said. Then, seeing me, sorry about the mountain. Jimmy's always been a pain. The lieutenant with us isn't happy with what he did. He missed, so it's all good. We kept talking, and in the end, I took them to see some places around here, mostly bars where meeting people was easy. Jimmy didn't join us. I planned to run about 10 miles and was 2 miles in, moving at an okay speed when I heard someone behind me. Lots of folks run with music in their ears, but I like to keep an ear out. A buddy of mine didn't hear a storm coming because of his headphones. He tried to find cover when lightning hit a tree right next to him. He wasn't hit, but the shock knocked him out cold for a day and a half. I stepped to the left and she went by me, running fast. She had a smirk on her face, but didn't say hi. We hadn't met, so she didn't know me. Pauline was wearing a sports top and tight pants, and I didn't mind watching as we ran. Without thinking, I sped up and kept about 20 feet back. She probably thought she'd lost me and looked surprised when she saw me still there. She tried to speed up, so I stayed a bit further back, about 40 feet this time. She looked back, saw me, and stopped in the middle of the path. "Are you following me, jerk?" I don't think she was ready for my smile. "Yep." That threw her off and she got mad. "Stop it. Not happening here. This is the only path on this side, so if you're running and I'm behind you, that means I'm following you. If you don't like it, either run faster or let me go ahead. You think you can keep up?" I bet a coffee I can. Whoever stops first loses. As I ran ahead, I heard her shout. I was going at an easy pace, and about 500 yards later, she zoomed past me again. I ended up walking right behind her again, and it didn't take her long to notice that I had caught on to her game and was checking her out as she ran. She slowed down and I ran past her, picking up speed. She tried to keep up, but after 2 miles she began to slow, and after 3, she stopped at the parking lot. I kept going. I ran another round and she was there waiting on the trail. "You win. Starbucks on 10th and Madison." "Sorry, got 3 more miles, maybe another time." I found some extra energy and kept up a fast pace, finally stopping as I was really sweating and took a moment to breathe. A hand with a towel showed up under my face and I looked up. "Do you do this every run?" "Most days. Long runs on others." She seemed unsure if she believed me. "Still up for coffee?" I had agreed to it. "Sure." I cleaned up a bit, changed my shirt, and was ready. "Where's your car? You can follow me." "I didn't drive. My place is close and I ran here." "All right, I'll drive then." It was a short drive. She got a drink that was super sweet with whipped cream and stuff, and I wondered how she stayed in shape. She caught my look and smiled. "I work out a lot and I'm lucky with my metabolism." She saw my drink, just coffee with a bit of creamer, and smiled back. I said I didn't. We didn't say much at first. Then she asked if I knew who she was, surprised when I did. "How?" "I was at your dad's thing last night. Someone pointed you out. I work for your dad." The smile came back. "Good. You might end up working for me when Dad stops in 5 years." 5 years is a lot, Miss French. I've been moving around since college and don't really think about staying in one place. "Why did you pick this job then?" "Your dad knows how to talk people into things, and he wanted me to work for him." "I'm good at that too," she said with a grin. I kept my face calm. "That's useful in business, I bet. Thanks for the coffee, Miss French. Maybe I'll bump into you at work." I think she didn't want to stop talking, but she had to. It felt like I had thrown out a dare, and I hoped she wouldn't take it. After dropping me off, she glanced at my building. I said apartment, but these were really fancy condos. "Your boss must pay well." I didn't tell her I was staying in a friend's condo for free. They were away and said the place needed someone in it. Plus, they didn't quite trust the neighbors. "He does, Miss French. Have a nice day." She watched till I entered the code and went inside, probably to check if I really lived there, then left. I couldn't help but admire her car as she drove off, a Jaguar F-Type, just like one I liked. Weeks went by and I got used to my job. It quickly became clear it wasn't too hard. I finished my tasks by noon, leaving me with hours to spare. I couldn't stand doing nothing, so I asked to meet Mr. French. He saw me that afternoon and looked puzzled to see me. After some small talk, he asked if I liked my work. "No." He seemed shocked. "Too much? I can spread the work around a bit if needed. I put a lot of effort into hiring you." "It's the other way around, sir. I'm done by lunchtime. Is there anything else I can do?" He stared in surprise, then laughed and raised his hand. "Hold on a second. You're the first to tell me you've got too little to do since I started this place," he said, taking a moment to think it over. "I like that. Let me think on it. Maybe I've got something for you. Something fresh I've been wanting to try. Check back in a few days, Jason. You were a good pick for us." "Thanks, Mr. French. Have a good one." When I got back, my new helper looked worried. She was over the moon when I picked her out of 12 others. It wasn't about her looks, even though she did stand out. It was about her get-up-and-go spirit. She did her homework on me, knew what questions to ask, and got what we do. Some folks thought I chose her just by her looks, but she was the one who could really talk about our work goals. I told her, "Ease up, Marta. Things are about to get busy for us." "Can't wait, sir. When do we start?" "We've got to sit tight a bit longer. Did you finish those charts I needed?" "All done, marked, and noted with the key points. Looks like you've earned yourself a bonus with what's coming." That made her day, and she dived back into her work. 4 days later, my boss sent me a note. "Drop by when you've got a sec." I knew that meant now. So up I went. He had a smile for me. "Take a seat, Jason. I found the perfect thing to keep you busy," he said, waiting for me to settle down. "We've been giving to different charities when we could. Mixed bag of results. Some good, some not so much. We looked into another one and found out 85 cents of every dollar went to office stuff, so we stopped supporting them fast. Another one we liked, the Go Deep Kids Help, was doing great until last year. The famous player who started it got into trouble for dating a married woman. Turns out he liked married women a lot and got away with it for a long time until he picked the wrong woman, or really her angry husband. That husband made a huge fuss, ruined the player's career, and cost him a ton of money. Now he's with a team out west and nobody wants anything to do with him. The charity tried to keep going, but the bad press was too much, and they had to close. Really sad." He stopped, looking really annoyed, then said, "With all that, I've been thinking about putting all my company's giving through one place. You're that place. Think you can handle it?" I replied carefully, "This isn't really what I had in mind, and it's kind of out of my comfort zone, but I'd like to give it a shot. If I feel I'm not doing a good job, I'll let you know first." He smiled, told me a bit more, and just before leaving, he said something that almost made me back out. "I hear you've met my daughter. She's asked about you, and any event will need you both there. I want her to be the public face of this company, and any chance to show her off will help. Is that going to be an issue?" "I don't see why. I've only talked to her once outside work. I'm sure we'll work well together." He stood up, shook my hand, and seemed unsure about what to say next. "I have to tell you, Jason, Pauline can be pretty intense and goes after what she wants hard. The lady had been set to marry twice, both times to nice guys, but it was her doings that broke them apart. 'You've been warned,' they said. 'I'm not after your daughter, Mr. French. I think we'll get on just fine.' I couldn't stop the smile as he led me out. Back at my work, I called for Marta to come. She had a tiny office near mine, like a guard. No one got in unless she said it was okay. She came after me, her tablet always with her. 'We got a new project, Marta. It's going to take extra hours, some after we usually leave. So starting now, you get 10% more pay and will be paid extra for any overtime, okay?' She was still thinking about that 10%, so I waited. Then she smiled big. 'What's the job?' We dig up info, set up at the big table. No need to keep moving around to talk or to shout questions. 'I'm making coffee. You want some?' Silly question. Marta loved coffee as much as me. I was part of a bunch of coffee clubs, and every week a new bag would come. We had all sorts of coffee makers, depending on how we felt. And there was tea, too, sent from friends in England. When I first talked about coffee, Marta was taken aback. 'I thought being from England you'd like tea more.' 'Who said I'm from England?' 'Your way of talking.' 'Honey, I don't talk different.' She looked at me, eyes wide, and I laughed. 'You got it half right. I was born in North Carolina. My dad died when I was 15, and my mom took us back to England. Life was easier when I talked like them, so I learned. I'm both American and British.' She laughed and said, 'Well, cheerio, y'all.' And we got to work. Now and then I'd glance over and see her head move, her wild, short curls jumping all over. It made me happy. Marta Martinique was from Haiti. Her mom was a local, and her dad was a tourist from Germany, she thought. It was a one-night thing without thinking ahead, and 9 months later, Marta came into the world. Marta's mom had a husband, a very dark man. Her mom was half white, making Marta 3/4 white. It was clear, and when her mom told him, he left. Her mom got into some long partnerships but never married again. Her last partner was still around and liked Marta a lot. He was a foreigner who came looking for weed but found Giselle instead. He knew a lot about growing plants. He became friends with some local growers, and they helped him set up a little lab. Around the world, others were working on the plant, and one made a kind that was so strong it could kill. Marta's stepdad found out that too much THC could be bad in the long run. Since companies were looking into the plant for money, he made a kind of sativa that was only 9.5% strong. His friends sold it where it was okay, got patents for it in many places, and sold the seeds wide and far. He used some of the money to help Marta get a good education. A photo of him and her mom was on her desk, and also one of her with each of them. Sadly, they died in a plane crash coming back from a meeting. It turned out that charity work was full of tough battles, with many agents ready to jump at big givers, often promising more than usual to get their support. They would clash over big donors, acting wild to win them over. Marta and I checked out tons of groups before we picked 7. 5 were from around here. When they found out about us and what we could do for them, they got super excited, like hungry dogs after a slow bunny. Miss French, though, she didn't show up, even though we kept her in the loop. And when those groups got real eager, I told them to chat with her since she's the face of what we do. A few days on, I caught Marta having a tough time with someone. "Hold up! You can't just walk in here to see my boss. Lady, do you even know who I am?" "I know you're Miss French." "So what?" I thought I better step in before things got out of hand. "Thanks, Marta. Miss French, can I help with something?" She spun around, annoyed at Marta. "What's her deal?" "She's doing her job as my helper. And who might you be, Miss French?" Marta was trying not to laugh, and it was obvious. I switched topics quick. "So what do you need? Get those people off my back. They're all over me." "You've got to handle it, Miss French. Your dad made you the face of his giving work, and you've got to live with it. Don't worry, us small fries will keep you up to date. You do read those updates we send, right? Maybe get a better helper to deal with calls and plan your day. Take them on in your own way, not theirs. I'm guessing saying no isn't hard for you." She was so mad she couldn't speak. Her face changed colors for a bit, then she smiled a scary smile like a shark. "Okay, Mr. Halston, you've got a point. Also, one of those groups we picked is having a big party this Saturday night. Thought you should know. It starts at 8, so the fancy car picks me up at 7:30. Get yourself in a fancy suit. We gotta shine at our big show. Catch you later." Marta watched her leave, her high shoes tapping, making her backside swing in nice ways. "What just went down?" "I think, dear Marta, that the boss lady wants me for the night. How about some tea? We had tea while Marta checked out the charity event. Should I get you a fancy suit?" "No need. Got my own." "One day, boss, you're gonna spill who you used to be. You've got a fancy flat, a shiny new car, and suits just waiting. Why stick around here? Just bored and curious about living a different life? Make sure you dress up nice and find a date." "Why?" "Need you to sneak around. No one will know you and you're pretty. Guys make dummies of themselves over a pretty lady. See what you can find out." I gave her a card and a note. "Go there. They'll make you look stunning. You'll outshine the others at the party." Marta sure spent a lot on my dime. Next day, she came in, sat on me, and planted a hot kiss before laughing and jumping off. "Well, I'm all ears now. Met the snootiest ladies till your note turned them sweet. Thanks for the kiss. The dress is perfect. Never had shoes like this or such fancy underthings. Want a peek?" She stopped smiling and turned all red at what I said. "More than you know, but let's keep it proper, Miss Marta." She smiled as she left, then turned back. "Sir, Miss French is here. Should I let her in?" I heard her gasp and try to hide a laugh with a cough. She slammed the door as she left. "Get rid of her!" "Why? Because she does her job well? A top 8 is hard to find, and she's the best I've got." "What do you want, Miss French?" "I saw the file you have on the CEO and the board. How did you learn all that?" I shrugged. "Got friends in dark spots. It's not a pretty story, right? But the charity does good if it can keep the top folks in check. Those files will show up on the board's desks on Monday. Let's see what they do then." "Did you get a tux?" "Nope. I'll wear the one I have at home. Guys can wear the same outfit to stuff like this. Did you get a new dress?" "Can't show up in something old." She took a deep breath. "Yes, I did. We'll make an impact for sure." She started to leave, then stopped. "Have lunch with me." "Why?" "So we can get to know each other better. We can't look awkward in front of everyone." I smiled. "Okay. When?" "Today. Noon at Amaretto's." Amaretto's was a fancy spot that was hard to book. I hoped the food was as good as people said. Marta smiled as I picked up my jacket. Ever hear about black widow spiders? After they mate, the female kills the male. Watch out for traps, Jason. I've dodged a few before, Marta. If she thinks I'm easy prey, she's in for a surprise. Have a good lunch. We got there at the same time, and she checked out my car, smiling. Nice. Where from? England. She then saw it was right-hand drive. The staff treated her like royalty. It was an Italian place, so I tried Italian on the waiter. He was lost, but the owner got it. As he walked to the table to honor the guest, he spoke to me in his mother tongue, glad to use it again. In a bit, I saw Pauline making a face. Sorry, Miss French. You don't know Italian, right? No. But it sounds pretty. Giuseppe grinned. It's the tongue of love, Miss French. Now, what can I get for you? I have a few things, not much, for such a fine pair. Before she could say a word, I made our order in Italian. He nodded and left. He didn't ask what I want. I picked for us. He makes a meal I loved back in Milan, and I want you to try. Okay? Did she seem a bit happier? So you lived in Italy after England? Yeah, for work. I also spent time in Madrid and grew up in London. I went to school at Eton and got a higher degree from Seville. Do you know the languages? Yes, French and Spanish and a little Portuguese. I pick up languages easily. How about you? She smiled. Yes, in fashion and food. For everything else, I stick to English. The meal came and it was good. Giuseppe kept checking until I told him it was the best I ever had. He smiled wide and left. After the main dish, we had dessert and strong coffee. Lunch took an hour and a half. I stood with her as the car people brought our rides. I got a call from the big boss just before we ate. He really wants to meet us tomorrow to talk about what we found. Can you make it? If you need me, I'll be there. I opened her car door and she caught me off guard by giving me a quick kiss on the cheek. Thanks for today. It was nice. 2 o'clock tomorrow? I'll be there. Have a nice day, Miss French. Call me Pauline, she said as she drove off. Marta gave me a look when I got back. Happy I still had all my bits, she calmed down. How did it go? Better than I thought. Turns out the lady can look like a normal person when she needs to. Still, I'd be careful of those sharp teeth. Your notes are on your desk. We worked till late, and when I got back to the condo, the door guy gave me a funny look. I didn't get why until I opened the door. There stood a tall, blonde, blue-eyed, tan lady with no clothes on. Hi, honey, I'm back. That's all I said before she started to laugh. I always wanted to say that. Not as fun as I thought, she said. I gave her a kiss, and she kissed me back. After, she said, Make us a drink, will you? She sat down on the couch, legs wide. As I made the drinks, another lady came from the room. She was also without clothes, her dark skin shining. She saw the lady on the couch and said, Slut, close your legs. It's like you're chasing something you wouldn't know what to do with if you got it. Leslie, the blonde, and Carmela, with dark skin, loved each other and were married. I was staying with them. Carmela told me she'd never been with a guy and didn't want to try. Leslie also hadn't been with a guy, but once on an island, after some drinks and all of us without clothes, she asked to touch me. We laughed, and she was careful but curious. They had been a couple for 2 years by then, Leslie 22 and Carmela 19, both pros in modeling. Carmela found it funny, then got close as Leslie checked things out, even moving it around. She shared what it was like with Carmela as we all laughed. You should feel this love. It's both hard and soft together, and it's beating. It's not pretty, but it pulls you in. What's that on top? It's a wet stuff a guy makes when he's happy, to make it easy to get into a woman. You remember your school stuff? Yes, dear, but that was just in books. It's very different to see and touch. It started to hurt, so I took her hand away. I think you know enough now. She grabbed me again. Not yet. I want to see it go. And how do you think we do that? You could? No, I won't. I will then. And what do you think your wife will say to that? She looked at Carmela. Please? I'll just use my hands, nothing more. Carmela gave her a look like she was crazy. Then she laughed. Just this once. And I mean once in your life, only if Jason is okay. If you ever go near another man like that, you're out. Got it? I got one of the most awkward hand jobs ever. Sometimes it hurt, sometimes it was just silly, but we did it. I don't know what Leslie thought would happen when I finished, and she yelled as it got on her. Carmela was right there laughing until Leslie moved me, and I got her too. After they laughed it off, Les asked me if all guys did that much. No clue. I know the more you do it, the less there is. As you can guess, it's been a bit for me. Why? You're young, good-looking, and even though I don't have much to compare it to, I've seen my fair share online. Yours is fine, not like those, but okay. You should be having fun. I could if I wanted. Right now, I'm taking it easy. It's Victoria, right? What a meanie. I can tell you she knows she messed up. Well, you learn from what happens, right? Too bad she learned too late. Victoria was a friend of mine. If you've seen a fancy magazine in the last 5 years, you've seen her face. I didn't really want to date a model, but she was keen, and I went along. Things got serious, then I flew down for a photo shoot and found her with the photographer and a helper. The photographer was a woman, the helper a man. She tried to say she was drunk, but if she was, it was from the night before. It was 9 in the morning when I found them. Then she said they made her take something, which made the photographer so mad she quit. I was in charge of the shoot, so I had to find someone else fast. We met at the airport, me leaving, him coming. He later said it was a very hard shoot because she kept crying, messing up her makeup and the light. What should have taken 2 days took a week. She tried to get back with me after, but I was done. Her career went on for a bit longer, then it slowed down. Last I heard, she was doing work for a clothing catalog for bigger sizes. I saw her a couple of times, and despite putting on weight, she still looked nice. I made up my mind to never date a model again. There were a few short flings, but nothing serious. Just brief moments and then gone. I got tired of all the travel, the fits of temper from everyone, the tough rules, models, and all the company stuff, so I left it behind. I still got calls, and if I liked the person, I'd give advice. But that's it. That's how I ended up living in the condo. Leslie and Carmela were going to be home for 2 weeks before heading out again, and they just wanted to relax. I took care of them and promised we'd go fishing on Sunday. I got them into fly fishing, and they loved it. They got all they needed, and each trip was like a photo shoot. Watching Les catch a big trout one day got me thinking. I made some calls, and next thing, they were on the cover of Fly Fishing magazine. They were fishing in a private spot in the Smoky Mountains for the article. Their choice was to wear bikini tops with their waders, saying it was to tan. It made me laugh, since they usually fished without tops, not liking tan lines for work reasons. This started a thing. The magazine wanted them twice a year to test gear. They didn't get paid, but got to visit places like New Zealand, Colorado, and the Swiss Alps. The Alps had mixed trout, big ones because of war and bad management mixing native and North American trout. That issue sold really well. They had one rule. I had to come with them if I could. I even got in the magazine as their fishing guide, even though they were better at it by then. The Swiss trip was made into a documentary shown on TV and Netflix, and people loved it. Pretty women, great views, big fish, hard to mess up. They also helped save fish habitats, going to events when they could. Then, they bought land in North Carolina with 2 trout streams for their future home. It all showed, even in simple actions, big dreams can happen. French loved to fly fish and saw me in the mags. He did some digging, and when I quit modeling, he was all over me to join him. We talked for the first time by a river, fishing. He said you can tell what a man is like by how he fishes. I wasn't sure, but that's how he saw it. Leslie found out where I ended up and gave me a call. If you're still looking for a place to live, stop. We live in this town but are hardly ever home. Use our condo. Even with top-notch security, someone broke in, took photos, and went through our things. They caught the guy leaving with a backpack full of our lingerie. He wanted to sell them online, even the ones we'd worn. Worn supermodel stuff sells for a lot. Man, I was sitting on a fortune back when I was modeling. Who would have thought? Creeps and thieves, it seems. I'm sending you the access codes and a note for the management. Lots of residents travel and they're cool with house sitters. Just stay away from our dirty laundry. Guess I'm too late for that, but sure. They stumbled upon the charity event and looked up Miss French. She's super hot. Yeah, and she knows it. You gonna go for it? What is this, high school? I don't plan on going for it. Feels like she's got too much going on. Leslie stared at her pic on the company's Facebook. I would, though. Carmela shot Leslie a look, and she quickly added, I mean, if I were into guys and not totally in love with my wife, Jace should go for it just because. Carmela laughed. You've got that right. Jace is too good to just go for it. He works for her dad. If he just left her after, she'd be sad and talking to her dad till he had to do something about it. They joked around before the big night. I should have seen they had a plan from their smiles, but Miss French was keeping me busy. We met with the chairman and some board members he picked. He didn't like what we told him. He had an urgent meeting, and by the time of the gala, he was missing a CEO, a CFO, a lawyer, and 2 board members. He tried to keep it hush before the event, but word would spread by Monday. My friends were all over me like they were my moms before I headed to the limo. Pauline lived in a big room above her dad's big garage. She had her own way in, so her parents didn't see her coming and going, or if she had guests. I thought I'd see her there, but she texted to meet at her parents'. So I rang the fancy doorbell right at 7:30. It felt like we were 16, off to our first dance from how much they made over us. Mr. French called me one day for a favor. He was meant to take his wife to lunch but had a vendor problem. Could I take her? I took her to Giuseppe's, and he treated us real special. It made Mr. French like me more when I took Carmela and Leslie there for dinner once. He had our pictures up like trophies. There was even one of him with the girls kissing his cheek. Giuseppe was old, in his late 60s, and I worried he'd get too excited, Mrs. French noticed. You know these women? They're just old pals. But there, just old pals, I said again, smiling. Known them since Leslie was 17 and Carmela was 20. We met because of a job I had then, and I helped them out of a bad spot once. After that, they kind of took me in. Are they lovers? You don't have to say, but they look so happy when you see them on TV. They're not lovers. They're married. I was the best man at their wedding in Crete. They're really in love, and I can see them being together for a long time. Have you ever, been with any models? I smiled and said in a funny voice, Why, Mrs. French? Are you asking me to spill secrets? That wouldn't be right, would it? She laughed like a kid. I think, dear Jason, you've got more stories than my husband knows. Sorry for an old lady and her daydreams. Old? Haven't you seen how Giuseppe looks at you and stays close by? He sees you like you're the last piece of chocolate cake. She smiled with little dents in her cheeks, and I found it sweet, but I was serious. She was good-looking for her age, and he really liked her. I think I made him sad when I said she was married to a very rich man. After that, every time she was in the place, she would come by to say hi. She even took Marta out once and tried to get more about me. Sadly, she knew very little and wouldn't tell what she did. A very let-down Mrs. French came back alone. Mrs. French was taking photos with a really nice camera, talking fast. Don't they look good, Robert? Such a good-looking pair. I bet they'll make people turn heads when they show up. She talked more in her excitement until Mr. French made her stop. Honey, let them be. Think about the flowers for their big day while they're out. You two, be good and don't make us look bad. I want to hear all about it by Monday. Go now. Mrs. French turned very red at the flower comment before she laughed. White and pink, I know just the right place to get the dress. You should think about the kids they'll give us one day. He turned red at that. Pauline and her dad often fought about this. He wanted grandkids to carry on his name, and she wasn't in a rush. With 2 broken engagements, it seemed he'd have to wait even longer. The limo let us out in front, and a red carpet was all laid out. The local news was there, cameras going off like mad. We were the center of attention. Her dad was a big deal in town, and Pauline was well known. People were curious about me, guessing who I was. Pauline soaked up the attention like a queen. It confirmed my first thought of her as loving the spotlight a bit too much. I just smiled and stayed in the shadows as best I could. Her dad wanted her to be the face of it all, so she had to shine. After a while, Pauline noticed. What are you doing? Just making sure you shine. Why? Because your dad sees you as the new face of his work. I don't want to steal that. You should be with me. We should be the face of it. For now, yes, but later when I'm gone, they shouldn't have to wonder about me. Better keep the light on you. She looked mad. Getting straight talk must have been new for her. She had to learn to take the rough with the smooth. Her smile stuck, even as we met new folk and she caught up with old mates. Some seemed like fake friends, all smiles and backpats, waiting to betray her. One lady was all sweet talk, but her eyes said she'd rather kiss a snake. I smiled as she walked off. She's not a fan of you, huh? Pauline just smiled. That's Nancy Wilde. We went to the same schools. I took a boyfriend from her, well, two actually, one in high school and one in college. Did you really like them, or did you just want to make her mad? Pauline's cheeks turned red, and I knew. Miss Wilde tried all night to charm me, much to Pauline's growing upset. You see what she's doing? I showed the number Nancy gave me. Seems like she's out for revenge, but maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't shocked when Pauline grabbed the card and ripped it up. She guessed you'd rip it. That's why she gave me 2. Wine? Pauline stormed off and I went to the bar. With 2 glasses of wine, I looked for her and saw her flirting with a guy. Found you, I said, giving her the wine. She froze as I gave her the glass. I smiled. Seems you're busy. I'll go mix. I hadn't moved far when Leslie showed up, grabbing my arm and planting a kiss on my cheek. Then Carmela grabbed my other arm. They were dazzling, outshining everyone else like stars in the night. People looked on, amazed. We've been watching. She's really pretty. Look how she's trying to make you jealous. So high school, isn't it? Are you really into her? I'm not sure. Like you said, she's acting like a teenager. Maybe something happened that kept her feelings young. Oh, she saw us. I can almost see the smoke from her ears. And here she comes. Soon, she was right in front of us with a puzzled look. I see you've finished talking with your buddy. Let me introduce Leslie O'Brien Valdez and Carmela Valdez, 2 old pals of mine. This is Miss Pauline French. Leslie gave her hand a shake and smiled. Carmela was less warm, just to shake things up a bit. Evening, Miss French. How do you know our Jason? She put a bit of weight on our and smiled when Pauline looked unsure. He's my date tonight. Leslie jumped in. Really? We thought the guy you were chatting with was more than a date. An old friend? You could tell things were about to get hot. Yes, an old friend. We were close once. He's married now to a lovely lady. You let him go? No, we just wanted different things and grew apart. Jason, dear, let's go around. We're here for a reason. Carmela held on to me a bit tighter when she called me honey. She was enjoying this. Yes, love. Ladies, good to see you here. A surprise. Do you back the charity? We think it's good, but we've been wrong before. We'll look into it and tell Jason our thoughts in a week. Have a good evening. They both made a show of kissing me on the cheek before walking away. Pauline tried not to show it, but she was dying of curiosity. Plus, she wasn't used to women as pretty as her not caring about her. It really threw her off. I know them really well. I'm living with them right now. They're great, right? She pulled me out to a balcony, looking serious. You've got a fancy car. I know the guy who made your suit, and he's super pricey. Plus, you're with top models? What's your deal? I did a little bow. I'm Jason Halston. That suit? Not too pricey. Alberto just gave it to me because I helped him once. My car did cost a lot. It's got special stuff. Mr. Hauptmann made it just for me. And the models? I'm just watching their place. They're off working. She rolled her eyes. So, you're tight with a big-time designer and a big shot from Mercedes? Got any other famous friends? Maybe. If you count lots of fashion folks, rich guys from all over, movie stars, and loads of models. But I didn't go bragging. Just said my old job got me around. We mixed with the crowd and danced when the band started. She sighed as we moved. Of course you dance great. Can you do anything wrong? I can't draw straight. My diving's bad and I'm no good at rap. But other than that, I'm almost there. She tried not to laugh. Guess you're not perfect. To be fair, if I try to shoot at you, don't worry. I miss. Don't let me drive mad or we'll never make it. And never ask me to dance Irish style. I look like I'm falling apart. The way she put it made me picture it. So we just gotta keep going, being human and all. Pauline seemed a bit like she owned the place. She danced with the big names of the city. She looked upset when I danced with their other halves and friends, Les and Carmela. And then when they played the tango because Nancy paid the band $500, she grabbed me quick. I knew how to tango from my time in Argentina and Brazil. She barely kept up. I used my best moves, and by the end, it looked like we were way too close on the dance floor. I left her there, catching her breath. I fixed my suit, walking back to Pauline and the gang. Leslie looked shocked. Carmela was trying not to smile. Paulina seemed mad, but also like she couldn't decide whether to fight me or hug me. I grinned. Did you miss me? She couldn't find the words, so I just took her out to dance again. We moved slow this time, and she got as close as she could. It felt pretty good, honestly. After the dance, she touched my face. "You're not easy, are you? Ask them what happened to the last lady who tried to control me. If you're real with someone, you don't control them, you work together. I saw her chat with the gang while the big boss tried to talk to me. Can we count on your help?" "I can't say 'cause I'm not in charge. Miss French is, and she said we'd talk on Monday." He walked away fast, looking sad, after Pauline shook her head at him. Things might not go as he hoped. The night got late, so we said bye. Les joked, asking if they should wait up for me. Pauline looked sad first, but ended up smiling as we got into the car. "You've got fun friends." "I do. Boring or not smart people aren't worth my time, so I stick to those who keep me on my toes." She moved closer to me as we drove. "Do you think I'm interesting?" "Oh, a lot, Miss French." We got closer, and I was surprised when she playfully bit my ear. "Don't joke. If you do, you might need to fix your ears. And if you call me Miss French again, I'll think it's too much. Okay? What should I call you?" "Honey would be nice. Dear is good, too." "Got it, honey dear." "Yay! You have a cute name for me. There's one more thing you do that we need to fix soon." "What's that, dear honey?" "You talk too much," she said before kissing me. It was a wild 15 minutes as we kissed. Her body reacted and I felt awkward with my body's response. Pauline made it worse by touching me over my clothes. I was pulling up her dress and she tried to open my pants when we heard the gravel crunch. We knew we were at her dad's big house. We fixed ourselves just in time as the car stopped. We might have made it to her place above if her mom wasn't there waiting. I helped her out of the limo and walked her to her door. "Thanks, Miss French. That was really nice." "It sure was, Mr. Halston. Let's do this again soon." She was smiling. Her mom looked at me, then smiled big. I kissed them both and drove home. When I got there, I saw the girls in robes, sipping wine. They looked at me and then burst out laughing. "Why?" I asked. "Go look in the mirror." Turns out Pauline's lipstick was pretty bright, easy to see on my lips and cheek. No wonder her mom laughed. Now I got the joke. "Did you kiss her? She got any secret moves?" Les asked. "Just a kiss, Les. That's all." "Really?" She seemed like she wanted more at the dance. "Why didn't you go for it?" I glanced at Carmela, who just smiled. "I think she watches too many romance movies. Sure, she's hot and probably knows how to play, but something felt off. Can't say what without knowing her better." "She's lived quite a life," I said. I shared what I knew about her past, including the drama with guys and how she always looked for the next win. It's like she's always fighting to win, not caring about who she's with. Just wants to reach the top and then find the next thing. We've seen this game before. It never ends well. Carmela is not just beautiful and rich. She's also very smart with a degree in mind stuff and plans for more school. She's doing well and plans to keep it up. Les isn't as street smart. If not for us, she'd be out of money. She fell for every sad story and bad deal until Carmela took over her money. That sorted her out. Her money wasn't as big as Carmela's, but she had enough to live well for life. Carmela gave her $10,000 a month to spend, which sounds a lot, but not to her. Les was often out of cash before the month ended. I think you got a point. Her old schoolmates told me to watch out. I see it sometimes. I might date her. She's almost as good-looking as you both, but just for fun. And for the sex, Leslie added. Yes, Leslie, for the sex. That's the fun bit. I went for a run the next morning to get rid of the heavy food and drink from the night. Felt a lot better. Ran back, showered, and got ready. Mrs. French, who said to call her Monica, asked me to lunch on Sunday and was taken aback when I said no. I'd love to, Monica, but my friends are leaving Monday and I promised to spend the day with them. Those two model friends of yours? You sure they're gay? Totally sure, sadly. She laughed. No, dear, that's okay. It shows you what else is out there. We have nice girls around here, too. I know that very well. How about next week? Let's try Giuseppe's on Friday. See if your husband can handle seeing someone else want you. Oh, Jason. I would say you're smooth, but that's not enough. You're top-notch. See you Friday. Then an idea came. Monica, can I speak to your husband? Sure, honey, just a sec. He was quick to pick up, probably close by. Hello, Jason. Morning, sir. Have you fished Holloway Mountain? That place? You need gold rods to get in. I'd love to fish there, but no trout's worth that much. And that's why you're doing good. I got a chance to fish there Sunday. Want to come? It's free, and my friends would like trying to fish with someone new. They get mad at me. I guess it's 'cause I joke too much. I make fun of their serious fishing mood and it bugs them. Really? When we hang off the phone, I'm going to tell Monica she should have had you. What time are we meeting? We gotta be at the place by 6 to fish a lot. Can you make it? Oh, and Monica has some funny plans for me, stuff that'd be weird if we were kin, so just hug her for me instead. I get your point. I'll be kissing Monica as soon as we're done talking. I'll see you there, happy as anything. Just don't bring actual bells. It'd scare the fish. Her laugh and his matched as the call ended. A bit later, she called. I hear you messed up my Sunday plans. Sorry, love. Got something else. She sounded less mad. Okay. But after this, you're spending more time with me. Sure they're gay? They said they want to show me new things. Could be interesting. I caught her sharp breath. You're a handful, you know? If I thought any of what you said was real, I'd be really upset. Seems you don't need those lessons, but if you do, they come from me. Got it? You don't have me. Her laugh went on. When she calmed down, I could hear her tease. Keep thinking that makes it more fun. Sure, love. Good. See you Monday. Rob, who told me to use his first name since it was our time off, met us at the spot. He looked shocked when he saw who came out of the big car. The ladies looked great, even dressed for the cold, ready to fish but still catching eyes. They calmed him down by chatting about fishing and the lures they liked, while I got the gear from the car. The guide we picked said hi and took us on small off-road rides. I smiled when I saw he had the girls with him, and Rob and I followed in another. It took us about an hour to reach the part of the stream we'd fish and another 20 to set up. The guide wasn't happy when Carmela chose me as her partner and Les went with Rob. We fished till 11, then stopped for lunch. We all caught fish, some big ones too, but we had to let them go because of the rules. Rob was even more surprised when we found a small shelter up the path with everything we needed. For lunch, they had lamb or duck with veggies that matched well. There was a little dessert, too. We ate just a bit, not wanting to feel heavy as we moved on the rocks. But it was tough. After the meal, we rested for about 20 minutes, enjoying coffee. Then they took us to a bigger stream with deep spots and strong currents. Leslie and I teamed up while Carmela took Rob. We tried to talk while we fished. He really likes you, Jason. He has big plans for you, even if things with his girl don't work out. He's worried about her and thinks you'd be good for her. She's not used to someone who can handle bigger challenges. He thinks you make her a bit scared, and he's happy about that. He's a good guy. I respect him a lot. I think I make him a bit uneasy, too. As the day was ending and we were about to head back, we heard loud cheers and laughter. Les and I walked down the stream to see Rob with a huge smile. He snagged a huge trout, 25 inches and 14 pounds, a record for the stream. Most folks would have shown it off on a wall at home, but after snapping some photos, he let it back into the water. It was a fish of a lifetime, he said, releasing it. I want someone else to feel this joy. They printed the pictures on fancy paper later. One went up at the lodge. He framed the one with him and 2 models, putting it up at work instead of home, right where anyone could see it when they walked in. He got a short bit of fame in Fly Fishing magazine with that picture and a pat on the back for letting the fish go. He kept some magazines in his office, flipping through them when he needed to chill. Monica felt a bit left out, and I figured we'd treat her and the girls to a spa day soon. Pauline didn't know what to make of it at first, but ended up feeling happy for her dad. Turns out supermodels don't pack much when they travel. They don't need to since they get what they wear. Les and Carmela each took just a small bag. I dropped them at the airport, and after some goodbyes, off they went. It would be 5 weeks till they were back. As they went through security, Les turned and joked, "Don't touch our dirty clothes. We sent them off to be cleaned this morning. Be nice and put our undies away when they come back, okay? And no wearing them, it ruins their shape." Carmilla had a grin while an old lady near me looked shocked. I tried to calm her. "Trust me, madam, I don't wear their stuff. It's too tight and mine are way nicer. Have a good trip." Marta and I had a chat on Monday. She said I looked good and I just smiled. "I'm glad I wasn't your date. I can kind of fight, but facing a crowd alone? No way." She blushed a bit and laughed. "I had a blast. Mark was just a buddy, but when I asked him, he thought it was more. In the end, he was let down. Still, I got asked for my number a bunch. Gave it to 3 guys who seemed cool. I've got a date Friday and another Sunday. The third guy's out of town, but we plan to hang out later. Enough about me. How was your night with the princess? It was better than I thought. There might be something real under her royal act, but I'm still deciding. Did you hear anything juicy? She looked concerned. There might be trouble brewing. I spoke to the less important folks and they were all a bit upset. I chatted with a young accountant and he hinted they might get checked out soon. He had a few drinks and right after he spoke, someone pulled him away. That lines up with what I found. I think we should find a different charity. That's why you're the boss. Marta was surprised when I brought her to meet Paul Mortonine later that day. Pauline didn't like that she was there, but by the end, they were getting along. Pauline and I made a deal and called the chairman. I thought it might be best if I took the lead. Why? You still have to stay here, and he wasn't mixed up in the mess that happened lower down. He was supposed to watch over things, but missed something. He might be helpful later, so I'll look like the bad guy, and you can still make friends with him when we need him. Pauline looked at me in a funny way. Do you always plan this far ahead? Do you have more people like Marta working for you? I smiled. Dear, that's something you don't need to know. I set my aims, figure out the best path, and gather all the info I can before I make a move. This method has always worked for me. She smiled back. I've got my own plans, too. I can't tell you yet, but you'll find out soon enough. Let's make that call. We got on a conference call in her office. We skipped the small talk. Mr. Wells, we've decided not to support your charity. We wish you luck, and maybe there will be something specific we can join in on later, but that's all for now. I'm in a tough spot. Is there any way we can work together? Mr. Wells, do you know how much you spent on last Friday's event? I don't have the exact amount. I do. You spent about $150,000 on the place. Food, parking, music, and drinks. You do this twice a year. From what I heard, you only made about $225,000 from it, which is half of what it cost to put on. That's not smart spending. Your charity spends $3 million a year, and 2/3 of that goes to pay people. Your boss makes almost $1 million, the lawyer bills for $250,000, and your CFO, who says yes to these bills, set his own pay at $359,000. Plus, 2 board members make money from dealings with your group. About 80% of what folks gave went to the costs of running the place. Not much went to helping those in need, he said quietly. I reckon your numbers are spot on. I asked for someone on the outside to take a look, expecting they'll find some wrong stuff. It really bugs me that the lawyer made sure they'd get a big payout if we let them go. They get a whole year's pay if we fire them. I'd say go to court, but that might not end well. So maybe tell everyone about it. If people know who did wrong, it's harder for them to find work like this again. Plus, it might make folks feel sorry for us. How about we say sorry in the local paper and name the folks who messed up? Let's fix things up and check back in a year. After the call, Pauline looked at me. Think he'll listen? He'll get lots of advice and maybe talk to a lawyer, but he's got to do something like we said or there won't be a charity anymore. We thought about what good things to do next. Marta had an idea. You could help with reading and writing, here and far away. You'd be shocked how many can't do either. I didn't learn till I was 9 when my mom brought us to the U.S. It doesn't cost much, and folks see it in a good light. Pauline nodded, liking the idea, and asked Marta to dig into it. We've got more to check out, too. If there's going to be an event, Jason thinks you should go. Marta couldn't stop the smile as she left. I think she liked Miss French a lot more now. I wasn't thinking clearly when I spoke up. Miss French, She jumped across the table and grabbed my head. I thought she was going to kiss me, but instead she bit my ear. Hard. Ow. Why'd you do that? I don't think you forget things that easy. We need a rule. Every time you don't call me by my name, it's either a bite or 3 kisses. Your pick. But it's going to happen. No backtalk. I waited a bit before answering. Yes, dear. That's better. And try to be a bit sweet now and then. Got it, honey, love, baby. I'll think up more. Now back to work. We got up and she had another rule. When it's just us, I have to kiss her hello and goodbye. I think I might need a guide. I'll make one. Learn it. There will be quizzes. Yes, love. That got me another kiss and a push out the door. Off to work. Make my dad some cash. See you Friday. Friday? If I could get to you, I'd bite. Yes, Friday. Did you think I'd let you take my folks out without me? You might mess up and say we're not serious and I'd have to fix it. Marta was up to her neck in plans, hardly saw me when I came back in. I sat down and just stared outside, smiling. Miss French was soon to learn that making me do something I didn't like was almost as hard as trying to control wild, mad cats. I got dressed up for it. After all, it was for the boss and his lady. I had to play nice, so I picked out a suit I got in London right before I left home. I hadn't worn it yet. We met up at the eatery. Giuseppe rushed to Monica before he spotted Rob and turned away. Pauline was wearing a simple yet pretty black dress that looked both neat and a bit daring. I knew who made it. In fact, I remembered seeing Leslie in that same dress at a photo shoot. "You look great, Miss Pauline. Really nice." Monica stood smiling while Rob said we should head to our table. It was a special table for very important people. We talked about usual stuff, and I mentioned the dish we were eating was good, but I knew a small place in Milan that was even better. "I'd really like to try it," Pauline said. "Maybe one day I'll take you there for lunch." Her eyes got big, and I saw she had her mom's cute cheek marks. "Okay, it's a plan." Rob tried to talk about our trip to Fish, but Monica stopped him quickly. "Honey, if you bring up Fish one more time tonight, you'll be sleeping with them instead." So that's where Pauline got her sharp wit. He changed the topic fast, bringing up a charity thing. Every idea so far wasn't good. Pauline talked about a project to help people read, and he liked that, saying well done to her. She was honest and said it was Marta's idea. We were really enjoying ourselves, taking our time with coffee, and then the chat turned sour. One guy Pauline once dated was at the same food spot with another date. When he saw her laughing with her mom, dad, and a new guy, it made him mad. Pauline gasped when she spotted him. I was sitting across and stood up quick as he stumbled our way, clearly having had too much to drink. Yet he could still talk. "Hey, you. I see there's a new guy you're tricking. How long till you dump him? A week? A month? Until he loves you so you can leave him sad? You're mean, but you know it, right? You'll just leave a trail of sad people and end up by yourself." He wasn't shouting, but folks started looking our way. I was now by his side, hands up. "Man, please calm down. Go back to your spot. Miss French doesn't want you here." He glared at me, mad. He opened his mouth and I shoved my left hand in, pushing hard. He choked and gagged, and I pushed him away from our table. Giuseppe and two servers came to help and threw him outside. He threw up right there from my hand and the drinks. Then he blacked out. Giuseppe called the cops. A drunk guy passed out in front was bad for his place. His date was in tears and Giuseppe got her a ride home. We were just done eating, so we left and saw her getting into the car and him still on the ground. Before we knew it, Pauline walked over and stepped on his part down there with her sharp heel. Even from a bit away, you could hear his squeal. I took her by the arm, gave her my handkerchief for her tears. "I'm sorry our night ended like this." Rob gave me a firm handshake, while Monica planted soft kisses on my face. I didn't need to ask. I just took her to the condo. I gave her a drink to help her relax, and we chatted. She shared deep things, likely things she hadn't told anyone else. I just let her talk and tried to comfort her. Later, she fell asleep in my arms, so I picked her up and put her to bed, carefully taking off her shoes and dress. I stripped to my shorts and went to bed too. She cuddled close, and I was out like a light. When I woke, she was looking at me. "Morning. How about breakfast?" "Just coffee," she said. I got dressed and started the coffee as she went to get ready. She was quiet, a bit sad as she drank. Setting her cup down, she said, "Last night was a first for me. It's the first time I've slept next to a man and woke up with my clothes on. It kind of hurt my ego." "Maybe, but it was better for your soul. You were with someone who cared not to take advantage when you were an equal sign not feeling well. That has to mean something." She began to cry, and it took me a bit to soothe her. After washing her face, she came back with a laugh. "I've got to do the walk of shame without actually having a reason to be ashamed. Feels strange." Maybe not. I went into the girls' room and rummaged through their closets, finding some cream pants and a light yellow shirt. I smiled, thinking of Leslie's remark as I searched their underwear drawer, finding a new set from a fancy brand in France. I handed them to her. "These should fit. I'm sure they won't mind loaning them to you. The panties will be okay, but the bra might be a bit tight. You might not even need it." She checked the tags. "How'd you know?" "Been around. Makeup and hair's on you. Get dressed, and I'll take you out for a meal." I knew models take forever to get ready, but she was done in 20 minutes. Looked like she had her makeup stuff in her bag, light eyeshadow, soft pink lips, and her hair in a high ponytail, long as I'd guessed. Her outfit and ponytail made her seem younger, kinda innocent. I liked that. Got any clue what this all would cost in a shop? Nope. But your look makes it worth it. Her tongue felt like it was going all over. She pulled away, got a tissue from her bag, and tapped my lips. Should leave it, so everyone knows you're mine. Let's eat. I'm starving. She knew the place well. We had French toast, omelets, and 3 blood orange drinks. We ate a lot. She wasn't happy when I took her home, so I gave her a peck on the cheek. Sleep. Big day tomorrow. Wear jeans or something comfy and no high shoes. We'll be outside all day. I'll be here at 7. If you're not ready, I'm leaving without you. Got it, sweetie? She tried not to smile, but did anyway. I waved as she rushed to her place, thinking she might be upset we didn't spend the night together. She was waiting as I drove up, surprised by the car. I had the Range Rover, had to use it now and then. She hopped in, quiet. Rob caught me as I was leaving. Going where I think? Good luck. She never liked the idea when I suggested it. So I hope she plays nice. If not, we'll come back quick. She looked at me as we hit the road. What's that about? Nothing, dear. She couldn't hide her smile, even though she tried. But she got all stiff when we got to Holloway Mountain. Why are we here? I thought we could fish a bit and hang out. If you don't like it, there's a spa here. You might like that. She thought for a bit, then said, I'll hang with you in the morning, but if it's not fun, I'm hitting the spa. All of it. Deal. Let's get some food first. The spa's diner was top-notch, maybe even better than the 4 Michelin stars it got. Though I wanted more, I had a small meal, and Pauline did the same. Chastity was going to show us how to fish. I thought Pauline might like having another lady around. At first, Pauline was on edge, but when I asked Chastity about her baby, Pauline chilled out. Chastity showed her how to get into the fishing gear and use the rod. When Pauline saw me recording her with my phone, she was like, What's that for? Gotta show your dad. He said he'd fire me if I didn't. Try not to fall in. We were at a place they called Novice Creek. It was easy and slow. Pauline took this very seriously, trying hard to get it right. Chastity had to get her to ease up a bit, telling her she'd do better if she wasn't so stiff. Catching her first fish, a small rainbow trout, made Pauline so happy. She was all laughs and shouts, like it was the biggest catch ever. I took a bunch of photos for her. Then Chastity taught her how to take the hook out and let the fish go. I thought this might mess up everything, but she was nice to the fish. She quickly used some wipes to clean her hands after. She almost skipped lunch because she had so much fun. Catch any? Nope, sweetie. This morning was for you to have fun. I might try some fishing after we eat, but I was here to see you enjoy. I showed her the best parts of the morning, and she was happy all over again. Chastity walked into the eating room, ringing a bell. Folks, we got a newcomer. Pauline French caught her first fish. She's one of us now. There were TVs in the room because on weekends it's a sports bar, and they all showed her catching her fish. Her big smile was super bright. Everyone clapped, and many said, well done. She couldn't stop talking about it on the way to the next fishing spot. I think some big shots were there in the room. Can you believe a big judge gave me a fist bump and cheered for me? So that's what he's up to. Always wondered. You're not amazed by those folks, huh? Not really. Here at the lodge, we forget about work stuff. Sure, they make friends here, but they're here to relax. They come for the fish, and for the spa, and the pool and tennis. Maybe the golf, too. They had a big golf game here last year. You play golf? Her eyes lit up. I was on the golf team with Rosie Chu in college. We did great until a top team took us out in the semifinals. Rosie Chu's a big deal in women's golf this year, winning a lot. We should play sometime. It's been a while for me. Where'd you play last? St. Andrews. Pauline just made a face and switched the topic. This one was tricky, and she hung up twice before she got it right. We were almost done for the day when it happened. Pauline caught a huge fish. The reel made noise as Chastity and I watched and helped. Then she slipped and fell into a pool about 3.5 feet deep. She went all in, but kept the rod up. Her hand with the rod stuck out of the water as she came up, shaking her head like a dog, fish still on line. It took 5 more minutes to pull it in. It looked a lot like the fish her dad caught, but was 3 inches longer and 4 pounds more. It broke the club record, and after we checked it all, she put it back in the water. but first made me snap a pic of her kissing the fish. The clubhouse was loud with news of it. I gave the signal and drinks were on the house. What's happening? When someone sets a record here, they have to buy drinks for everyone, kind of like a hole-in-one in golf. I left my purse inside. You couldn't pay anyway. You're a guest, so I cover it, and these trips with you and your dad, they cost me. She had 2 shots of brandy and went with Chastity. She came back in a club shirt and dry jeans. Her big catch was on the screen for all to see again. I tried to tip Chastity well, but she said, "Miss French got it. I gave her a good tip anyway. She was in college with a kid, working hard. She gave us a hug. Then she smiled. I shouldn't ask, but I want to come to the wedding." "What wedding?" "Yours and Pauline's. You two look good together." "We're not there yet. It might not go that way. But yes, I like being with her." "Sure thing. Have a great week, Mr. Halston." Once we got back to her folks' place, her dad rushed outside before I could even stop the car. "How'd it go?" Pauline laughed and hugged her mom. "I've got a video." We hooked up to the big TV in the den and her dad watched, mouth wide open, as his daughter, who had fought him on this for years, shouted with joy, catching fish. When the video ended, he was shocked by the big fish she caught. "I'm mad at you right now. We could have been doing this together when you were a kid." She hugged him, pecked his cheek, and laughed. "I'll make it right. Don't plan anything for Monday after work. You're taking me to buy all the gear I need. Next Saturday, we're going fishing." He couldn't hide his feelings. "Shouldn't your boyfriend be the one to take you?" "No. This is a dad and daughter trip, long overdue." I saw Monica get a little teary. "Monica, you're with me next week." "What?" "Let them have their fun. I've got something even better for you. Be ready at 8 a.m. sharp on Saturday." I looked at Rob. "You don't mind if I keep your wife company for a bit, do you?" Monica blushed, and they all tried not to laugh. "Just make sure she comes back the way she left. Not a single hair out of place, I promise." After a light dinner, Pauline stood up. "We're heading to my apartment. Don't come knocking before noon unless it's an emergency, got it?" I know I was beaming, which made her parents smile. Pauline pulled me upstairs. Her apartment was huge and nicely done. I told her so, and she smiled. "Just wait until you see the bedroom." A month of wanting each other like crazy went off like a bomb. I got to know every bit of her from head to toe. Pauline would groan till she got hot. Then she'd let out big shouts. I'm glad to say I got her to shout 4 times before the sun came up. She made me explode big twice. We lay out of breath at 3 in the morning. When we could breathe again, she asked me, "How did you learn to do that?" I grinned in the dim light. "Ever heard round the world?" I really went round the world, love, and tried to learn new stuff everywhere. I thought, when I do settle down, I want to be the best lover so she stays. Her voice was soft near my ear. "A girl would be dumb to leave after what you did, and my dad didn't raise a fool. I know you don't love me now, but you will soon." "I don't know. Maybe I should play hard to get. That'd keep you interested." I thought she was going to hug me more when she bit me. "Ouch! Sorry, sweetie, won't happen again." "Good. You'd look funny without those cute ears. Sleep, sweet, we'll talk more in the morning." She fell asleep fast and she snored. But it was a soft sound and I fell asleep listening. At 10 in the morning, someone knocked on the door. Pauline jumped up fast. "I'm gonna kill them!" Running to the door with no clothes might not have been smart. Me following her just as bare was also not smart. When she opened the door, Monica got a full view before she turned red. Then she smiled and handed Pauline a tray. "Here, thought you might need some food. Go on, kids. Pauline, looks like you're doing fine." I felt my whole body get hot while Pauline laughed hard. "Thanks, Mom. We'll get back to it after we eat." As soon as the door shut, we both couldn't help but smile. "That was a bit much," I said. "It'll be a funny tale later." How many would-be moms-in-law can say they know all about their son-in-law already? I froze. I could feel things slipping. She caught it too. "Don't fret, love. Guess I jumped the gun calling myself that. Maybe it's too soon. But you're the type I've been looking for. Strong, fearless, someone who doesn't care about Dad's money. Someone who can pull me back when I'm about to do something dumb. And boy, have I made some dumb moves." I started to grab my stuff while talking. We've only known each other for a month. I'm not even sure about us, let alone thinking of a forever. "Seems your head's got a bit too full because of all that money and power, Miss French. Time for me to go." "Wait, don't go, please stay." "I think it's better if I leave. Have a good day, Miss French." "Come Monday, Rob called me to his office. I should let you go. My girl's been upset all weekend because of you. Then he smiled. But between us, good on you. Pauline's had guys wrapped around her finger since she was young. She needed to learn you can't always get what you want. Plus, you've actually been good for her. Her mom and I have noticed a change in her. To me, you seem like you could be a solid son-in-law. Not my call, but I'd rest easy knowing you were there for her. I'll try and keep out of it, and I'll talk to Monica too, though she's already dreaming up nursery rooms. Be careful, son. She's got her sights on you. All I ask is if things don't go well, be kind about it. Understood, sir. All right then. Off you go. Marta picked up on how I was feeling right away. If Miss French rings, tell me. Don't let her talk to me. If she says she's coming here, warn me so I can leave. You might think I'm avoiding her. Right you are. I'm not running away, I'm just scared if she gets to me now, she might hit the wrong nerve and it'd be bad for both of us. I can't let that happen. Just need some time before we talk again. Her eyes got big. This was a new side of me she hadn't seen. My voice was calm, I didn't speak ill of anyone, but she knew I meant every word. She smiled big. Got it, boss. Love's crazy, huh? I wouldn't know. If I figure it out, I'll tell you all about it. It might take forever. Her smile stayed as she went back to her desk. I heard the phone ring a few times, and at noon she popped in. Food? What you mean is you're hungry and want me to bring you somewhere nice. Let's go. She almost sat in the driver's seat before she remembered. If she ends you, can I have your car? Do you even drive? No. But if I had this, I'd learn, she said, getting comfy in the seat, playing with the buttons until everything was just how she liked it. I found this tiny Creole place once while driving around getting to know the new area. It was plain, no fancy lights or attentive waiters. You ordered at the counter, chose from what they had that day. If eating in, an old waitress showed you to your seat, usually with someone already there. The first time I looked at her and she just grinned. No room for solo diners? Share a table or take it to go? I started liking meeting new people this way. Some worked in building, others were helpers or desk workers, some were doctors, lawyers, or other job types. I had a fun game. If I was with normal folks, I'd let my Carolina accent show. If it was a group in suits, I'd use my fancy English to wow them. I almost got in trouble once for bringing Carmela and Leslie with me. They wore jeans and nice tops, barely any makeup. They still got looks, but no one knew them. Not many fashion-minded folks there. They loved the food so much, they talked about it on a TV show, calling it a top spot in their hometown. The place got busier, with lines out the door by noon every day. The owner found out I helped spread the word and gave me thanks and a gentle scold. From then on, I mostly took my order to go. The owner smiled big when she saw us rushing over. You brought another beautiful lady, huh? Friend, you're gonna be the death of me. Yes, you are. She was all smiles, and Marta shocked her by speaking in Haitian Creole. I knew French well, but their chat was hard to follow. They would have kept at it if we didn't need to get back to work. As we left, she whispered something to Marta, who turned bright red. What did she tell you? Nothing. Come on. What could she have said to make Miss Cool blush? Marta stayed quiet until we reached our car park. Just before we got out, she said you're going to be my guy. Said she had a vision and it was sure to happen. Mona also mentioned she'd have her cousin make a potion to ensure it. I paused, then smiled. Well then, I guess I'm making the tea and coffee from now on. Wouldn't be fun to add a little extra to the cream, huh? Her mood lifted, and with a grin, she said, If I really wanted you, I wouldn't need any magic. I'd have the key to your heart before you even knew someone was in. With those words, she walked back inside, her walk showing off her small yet noticeable backside. I followed, wondering if this was all worth it. Days passed. I caught Marta whispering a few times, and on the third day she came to my office. Lunchtime. You're eating at Amaretto's, with someone else. Please do this, it's driving me mad. I've talked to her 3 times and she promised to be good. If not, just leave. She was about to leave, then stopped. Just so you know, you're supposed to end up with me. She's just filling in till I get your full notice. By the way, did your coffee taste odd this morning? It was okay, but how come I never saw the halo of stars and birds around you before? Her laughter followed her out. Maybe you're just starting to see me right. Enjoy lunch. Lunch was, in one word, stiff. I stood when she arrived and helped her sit. I had a great tea. She went for wine. She began to speak. I cut her off. Not now. Let's eat first, then talk. Let's not spoil the meal. We ate mostly quiet. After, with coffee and another rich dessert, she asked, "Can we talk now? If so, sorry. I've always pushed too hard, always got what I wanted, and never thought you'd not go along." "That's where we're different, Miss French. You've always got what you wanted until you didn't want it anymore. I know about your past tries, including your 2 broken engagements. You might not believe it, but not everyone's a fan of you. I've had folks telling me to steer clear of you." It seemed like she'd never heard something like this before. Her face showed she was shocked, and soon tears started to fall. When I took her hand and gave her a smile, she looked even more confused. "But I do like being around you when you're not acting too high and mighty. You're pretty, smart, and, let's say, very fun to be with. Those are things I like. Let me share a bit about me. I'm straight up. If you ask me something, I'll give you the real answer, even if it's not what you want to hear. My past was full of drama, but that's done with now. If you can just relax and let things happen, I'd like to see where this goes. But just so you know, Miss French, any playing around and it's over. And if you ever want to leave for someone else, tell me first, got it?" She hugged me tight, the smirk back on her face. "I don't think that'll ever be a problem. How about we go dancing Friday? Saturday won't work since I've got an early start Sunday for a stream. Your dad's been happy all week. I hope it's everything he's wanted." She went quiet. "I always regret not fishing with him when I was younger. Even if it's not as good as last time, we'll make memories." "That's great. You'll have to fill me in on Monday during our meeting. I'll tell you every little detail. I might even have pictures." I was still smiling when I got back to work. I think Marta seemed a bit put off, but her smile came back soon. Over tea, she started to tease a bit. "Jason Jr. and Maria." "Sorry, what?" "Jason Jr. and Maria. Those will be the names for our first 2 kids." I wasn't sure if she was joking. "The first 2? How many kids do we plan on having?" "We keep going until you say we're done. I think 4 kids sounds good, but 5 might be even better." I looked at Marta and couldn't help but smile. She was really short and so light. Thinking of her carrying a baby made me happy. "I'm okay with 2. We'll talk about the rest later." Her smile was bright. "No, we're not going to talk about it. The only reason we'd stop is if we stopped being close. And after you get to know me better, that's not happening. Now back to work." "You're shining brighter," she turned, smiling. "I know. I gave you more boost." Pauline chose the place, a fancy old dance hall with a big band. The light was soft and small lamps were on each table. There was even a young girl in a cute outfit, walking around with a big tray. I hadn't seen anyone smoking, so when she came over, I was surprised to see her tray had fresh flowers. I picked a red rose and placed it in a vase on our table. I didn't ask how much it cost. This place was so fancy, talking about money seemed rude. I likely gave her more money than expected for the flower and then asked, "Whose idea was this?" The girl was young, and her outfit was both pretty and modest. "It was mine," she said with a smile. "My uncle owns this place and said I could wait tables, but I suggested this instead, and he liked it. He doesn't pay me, but I keep all the money I make. I work 3 nights a week and earn more than many with steady jobs. It's great for my college costs." "You must be studying business," Pauline said, holding the rose. "Marketing and small biz," she said, moving on to help another guest. By the night's end, we had 6 roses on our table. She packed them for us as we left. We shared a bottle of good champagne. My mom knew the owners well. We danced a lot. The band played all kinds of tunes, from slow dances to lively steps. We knew some and guessed the rest, laughing when we goofed up. They had a singer I thought didn't get enough chances to shine. Her voice was amazing, and she gave every song her all. Pauline came home with me that night. It was a softer lovemaking than before, but still great. I found out what she liked. Turns out licking her ankles and back and gently biting her got her going. After, she cried a bit as she fell asleep in my arms. Later, things got passionate again. The bed held up barely. The next morning, after 2 showers, we were finally clean. "What do you want to do tonight?" "Sleep," I said, smiling. "We both need to get up early, so let's hit the sack soon. I want you to stay again if that's cool. We can grab your things later. And by early, I mean really for sleep. Then let's make it an 8 o'clock bedtime, but not for sleeping." I was thinking maybe 7. Maybe. We dodged her mom and dad when she went to grab her stuff. She shot her dad a text saying she'd be ready by 6, and we left. We spent the day having fun, seeing an early movie, and then looking at shop windows in the fancy mall where the movie was. She was staring into a store, smiling when her smile just stopped. I looked to see a man, a woman with a big belly, and a little kid. Their eyes met for a sec, then moved away. When I looked closer, I realized who it was: Bob, her first love, and his family. A few days before Bob came to see me, I sort of knew who he was, but not really. He just said, "Call me Bob." We got to talking. Marta made him a coffee and we were alone. He dove right in. "Not sure if you know me. I'm in charge of getting stuff here, but soon I'll be looking after that for all our places." He was happy about that, so I said, "Well done." He said thanks and then told me why he was there. "I used to be with your girl. We were tight in high school and college, but she could be a bit wild, you know? One minute all over you, the next, gone. The last time I thought we were solid, making big plans. Then she gets back from a trip, tells me she's found the one, and leaves. You might know the rest. I didn't really want to talk to you, but her dad asked me. He's solid and I owe him, but this is weird for me." He just shrugged. "Maybe she's different now. If things get serious like Rob wants, just watch out. She can be great, really loving when she feels like it." After he left, I sat thinking. It seemed like everyone, from her dad on down, thought she'd end up hurting me. And then there he was in front of us. "Hey, Jason, Pauline, Jason, you haven't met my wife yet." He introduced his wife and child, touching her belly gently. "And this is Emma, waiting to show up. She'll be here pretty soon." His wife laughed. "He keeps saying that, but really, I've got 6 to 7 weeks left. If it's like our first kid, it'll feel like forever." They didn't stay long. Pauline didn't say much. Over coffee, she opened up. I kind of fell for him hard back in my teen years and through college. When things got serious, I was so happy. We were close to getting married when I went on a work trip. I guess it was just desire that took over when I met Jameson. He looked good, was easy to talk to, and had a great body. Part of me knew he only wanted a fling, but I went for it. He ended up staying with me until I left to go home. Later, I found out his wife, who was pregnant, was away, and that's why he could stay. She paused, a tear on her cheek. I can't forget Bob's face when I ended things. I think he felt sad and kind of knew it was coming. He told me he always had a feeling it wouldn't last. That stung. When I got back and said I loved Jameson, he freaked out. So he told me he was wed and wanted to set up a cozy spot for us so he could see me when he got a chance. I felt so bad and ashamed. I couldn't go back home to see my dad and face Bob when the news broke, so I grabbed a job far up north and stayed until Dad fetched me back. And that's the sad bit of my story. What became of Jameson? She cracked a smile then, but it wasn't a nice one. When Dad caught wind of what I'd done with that man, he was mad. If you're a big deal to a business, making you mad is like asking for trouble. When his boss heard why they were losing deals, that man was done. Even though he tricked me, I asked Dad to ease up since the guy had a wife and little kids. He didn't crush him, but he sure set him back years. Last I knew, which was ages ago, his wife was the one bringing in the dough. They stuck it out, but she didn't trust him and life's been hard on him. We all pay for our mess-ups. I saw her wince and took her hand. I'm not talking about you. I've had times too, when I did things without thinking them through. Most folks regret choices made in anger or hurt, and there's been times I wished for a redo. But in the real world, you live with what you do, good or bad. Then you try not to mess up the same way again. That was nicely said, honey. I've had so many times I wished I'd chosen differently. But if we're wise, we work not to redo our past mistakes. I could be the face for mess-ups. I just want you to know I have learned, and I don't want to look back at my mistakes. I'd rather look ahead to my wins. And though you might not want to hear it yet, I'm counting you as my biggest win. Proof that I beat the odds. Don't stew on it, but I'm speaking truth. The speech was good. Almost had me sold. But time tells truth better, I've found. We got home, got naked in no time, tired by 9, asleep before 10. Holding her close, I thought how nice life could be with her. The alarm rang at 4:45. Pauline moaned, hit her phone, and rolled over. She'd have slept again, but I got up, pulled the covers off her, and patted her bum. She stood, eyes blazing, then smiled. "Looks like you're waking us up from now on. I better hurry." She got ready in 20 minutes, her stuff in the car. "Wish me luck. You used all your luck catching that big fish on your first try. Have fun." She pinched my bum, gave me a nice kiss, and left. I got ready, then headed out for my date. Monica was set when I arrived. We put her clubs in the car with mine and left. We had a tea time at 9 o'clock, just enough for a quick bite before golf. She hadn't played in nearly a year. She loves it, but her husband prefers fishing. She really enjoyed the full game. We met a judge and his wife there and hit it off by the 4th hole. Bonnie laughed when I went to putt. "I know you're married to Monica. Is this young guy your bit on the side?" "I wish," Monica said, seeing me miss. "He'd be a great son-in-law. I'll try to make it happen." They chuckled. Then Bonnie waved at her husband. "If it doesn't work, let me know. We can share." I missed my second shot and grinned. Ever heard it's rude to talk while someone's trying to focus on their golf shot? "Maybe you want to come here so I can talk better." She licked her lips as she said it. Her husband tried not to laugh while Monica turned red. I found out later Bonnie was 67, but she looked really good for her age, almost as young as Monica, who was 51. "So that's how it's gonna be, huh?" At the next spot to hit from when she bent down, I told Monica something that made her laugh out loud just as she swung. "What was that?" "Jason just said when you bent to put your ball down, you had a very nice backside, and he wondered how it would look with bite marks." "That's not true, Monica. I said nice backside, not rump. The judge missed his shot badly and acted like he was mad at us. Do I need to make a quiet rule here? And Jason, I can tell you her backside does look pretty good with bite marks. I think I have photos if you want to see." We didn't play our best, but we had a lot of fun. After we were done, the ladies went to tidy up, and the judge smiled at me. "I saw you play before on TV. It was at that big game in the Caymans 3 years back tied to a fashion event. If I got it right, you and your partner were second, just a bit behind the top player then. Want to go for a real game after we eat? You know as well as I do that this place is booked for months, and we won't get to play later. Plus, the only reason we were second was because I was with the top woman golfer then." He just smiled and called over a couple of guys from nearby tables, asking if they wanted to join for a game. Besides being a judge, he was the top guy at the club. There was no way they'd say no. We had a nice lunch, and I smiled at Monica. "This is where we split up. Please go with this kind lady. She'll tell you what to do for a bit. I'll come get you at 4:30. I didn't let her talk, just left her for her spa day while I went to play golf with the judge. I got his wife to join in last minute, telling her I didn't want to hear about any new bite marks later. Their voices faded as we walked away. These guys loved golf, really good at it and all in. We talked a bit on the first half, but then got more into the game. Jay and Derek smiled. "Same bet?" "Yep." He looked at me, hiding a smirk from them. "We bet 100 each hole. 2 sides, play as it lies. You in?" They won the first 2 holes, but then we got better. We won 6 holes, each of us winning $300. The last hole was short, 120 yards, but tricky because the ground sloped. I used a small club, aiming to get close. The ball landed on the edge and rolled slowly into the hole. They teased the judge about me being too good, but all of them were smiling. I was the 6th person ever to ace it. Sitting in the club, I thought about how much it cost to be here. I had to buy drinks for the fish story, and now for the hole-in-one. The place was noisy, then went quiet. Monica and Bonnie were back, and I thought they were worth all the money I spent. Bonnie's hair was now pure white, flowing down to her gray silk dress. Her shoes were the same gray, and her eyes shone with a smoke-like look. Monica wore a red dress with small white dots. It was short, showing a bit of her leg as she moved. Her hair was lighter, almost glowing. Her face looked just right. She hugged me tight, trying not to cry and mess up her face. Bonnie just smiled, then gave me a big kiss, not caring about the rules. The judge had to clean the lipstick off me. Then she whispered, "I tried a new thing today, got all smooth and wore a funny underthing. Feels weird, but it looks good. Just needs a few teasing marks to be perfect. I bet the judge will take care of that soon. You got it. He might need some help tonight. If Monica's girl doesn't fit, I got 2 grandkids. They're pretty and fun. Want to meet them?" "Both?" She laughed. "If you're up for it." They're twins. I thought about it, smiling at the idea. Monica was happy on the way to her place. Thanks, Jason. Things have been dull with Rob. That's too much info, Monica, but the way you look now should get his attention. Did you see how many looks you got? She grinned. Yes, all from guys like the judge. You didn't see it, but 2 guys, not even 40, asked me if you were single or if we were a thing. And when that bag boy came to get his group, he couldn't stop staring at you and Bonnie. His mates had to shove him out. She turned red and then laughed. I feel so good. Rob needs to gear up tonight. He woke up early. Don't wait. Go for it as soon as you get home. When's the last time you had a fun time in the day? Not since Pauline was 2, but this empty house might just be fun. Then she smiled big. But that doesn't mean I don't want grandkids. Grandkids are great because you can spoil them, give them lots of sweets, and then send them back to their parents. I hope I get that chance soon. I'm not getting any younger. You look young to me, and we're here. Rob and Pauline were by the door when we got there, probably ready with fishing tails, but when Monica stepped out of the car, they both forgot what to say. She kissed Pauline and gave Rob a big kiss. Then she pushed him away. You smell like fish, love. Go shower while I say bye to our friends. Then I'll come and help. He paused, then ran inside, yelling bye over his shoulder. Monica hugged us and nudged us out. Pauline was quiet most of the drive. Then she smiled. Okay, what did you do to Mom? I played golf with her, then played another game with Judge Adler while she enjoyed the spa. I think she needed to remember she's still beautiful and wanted. Your dad's probably finding that out right now, if I'm right. Wow. If what they say is true about looking at someone's mom to guess how they'll look later, you're going to become one pretty cool grandma. She just beamed. When I got to work on Monday, Marta didn't look happy. Are you sure about this, boss? Sure about what, my little island queen? She blushed and almost laughed, then got serious. Pauline, are you sure she's right for you? I'm not just jealous because you're meant to be mine. It's about her past. She's already talking about the big house you two will share. And she's having someone look into your life. How do you know this? The PAN. Sounds like a spy group. It kinda is. It stands for Personal Assistant Network. We chat, you know, and a lot has been about you. We keep our boss's secrets, but everyone else is fair game. Mostly what we share is stuff everyone knows. Some of the girls really don't like her. That's good to know. Do they know about us? Yes. Beverly and Shannon have also tried some magic. The bosses better watch out. Got it. Now should we get to work? We spent the day getting ready for a trade show. We were launching new products and hoped to meet lots of people. My team was going early to set up. Marta and I would fly in later, just in time. We'd look after our booth and meet the important people. Right before we left, she took my hands, tears in her eyes. Mona said you'd marry her, she'd break your heart, and after you'd healed, we'd find our way back to each other. I just want you to know I think you're worth the wait, even if it hurts. Then she brightened up. Angelique. What? Our second daughter. We'll call her Angel for short. I hugged her with a sad feel. You're a real puzzle, Marta. You tell me I'll wed a woman who'll hurt me, then you name our second girl. Just hit me. Do I even get to pick any names? Her bright smile showed. Not for the first 3. Sybil has seen them. She says Angel will be blonde and a lot like her grandma. She says you can pick the next 2 names. Thanks for that. How'd you know my mom was blonde? I didn't until she told me about the hair. Then I looked her up. She's really pretty. That made me think a lot on my drive home. 3 weeks later, after some love time, as we lay in a happy glow, I asked Pauline something. Did the folks looking into me find anything big? Anything you want to ask me? She tensed and sat up. How did you know? I couldn't tell her about Marta. Most folks you talk to are still friends of mine. Didn't you think one might tell me someone was snooping? That was the truth. 5 people had called, including Leslie and Carmela. Even more were worried and passed word through others. I'd called the girls right after Marta told me, and they warned everyone else, so the snoops learned very little that wasn't already out there. Your friends are really true. It turned into a game for them. They'd tell the snoops all sorts of crazy stories about you or just smile and walk away. Even in bars and places to eat, they knew who the snoops were. Then they started tricks, like getting their rental cars towed, messing with their hotel stays, reporting their credit cards as stolen. It all made the snoops very upset. 2 gave up and left. Then she smiled. They did talk to one model who said bad things about you. She got mad after I broke up with her. I found out it was all because she was jealous. Why did I break up with her even though she was super pretty? Well, looks aren't everything. She broke her promises to me. I hardly ever give someone a second chance. She looked a bit tense. Are you mad at me? Not really. You could have just asked your dad. He checked me out very well and I told my friends to be straight with him. You know he wouldn't tell me that. He keeps work and personal stuff separate. I've decided it doesn't matter and we should just trust each other. Smart move. If we do something, it'll come out eventually. Anyway, I think we should get more serious. I'm not seeing anyone else, but if you are, we should be exclusive. Do you agree? She jumped at me, excited. I haven't been with anyone for 3 months before we met. You're the only one for me. How exclusive are we talking? Just dating or living together? I grinned at her. Just dating for now. If things go well, we'll see about the next step. This is going to work. My work for French enterprises was getting noticed. I had set up a deal with Rob to send his best workers to college, paid by the company. We had 8 in the program, with 20 more wanting to join. Pauline and I got closer over time. Leslie and Carmela were careful, but okay with it. I moved out of their place and got my own. Pauline moved in with me and we were really happy. On our first year together, she asked me to marry her. It's been a year since we started living together. If I haven't shown my worth by now, there's no hope for us. That truth would crush me, but I'd leave right away. I smiled and pulled out the box. Well then, it's time to make it official. Pauline Amanda French, will you? Totally. Yes. Heck yes. Slip that ring on now. When we shared the news, her folks looked more thrilled than us. Marta turned more and more quiet, and when the news broke, she quit. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't budge. I can't stick around and see you hurt, even if I really care about you. Remember this, Jason Grant Halston, even if you don't see it now, I'm meant to be with you. You won't hear from me, but I'll watch over you. I truly wish you'll be happy. And then she was gone. We had been married for 1.5 years. Pauline was 32, not in a rush, but time was ticking, so I brought up kids. I was taken aback when she paused. We're still young. Let's wait a bit before we dive into that. I feel we are ready. You may not hear it, but I do. Just think on it, okay? Things felt odd for a bit before we went back to our ways. Pauline had to travel a few days each month, often back by night. Once a month, she went to a place 4 states away, staying overnight. I used to join her, but my own stuff kept me home most times. I'd see her gaze out the window, and I wondered if she was thinking about having kids. It felt right to talk about it once more. Then I bumped into Bob's wife at an eatery. I didn't really recall her, but after she said who she was, I asked her to join me. Her man had made things run smoother in all the work spots, and his way of cutting costs did not go missed. Rob had given him a car as a gift. It was a fancy Cadillac SUV with everything you could want. Gina took it right from him, saying it was the best car for a mom. We talked about her man, the car. She showed me pics of her 3 kids, and I said, I hope to have a pic or 2 to share soon. She gave me a strange look. That's good, Jason. It looks like you're getting better. I thought your marriage was done for when I heard you 2 were apart. I'm happy you fixed your troubles. I kept my cool. Thanks, Gina. Not a lot new about the split. How did you hear? I'm sorry, but it's kind of a known thing at the Jefferson work spot, more so after she was with Robert Sinclair. They were close for a bit, but then not. I'm happy. He wasn't right for her. Lunch ended and she picked up on my mood. I'm sorry if I dug up bad things, Jason. Bob thinks very highly of you and says you're one of the best to join the company in a long time. I gave her a peck on the cheek. Don't worry, Gina. It's all in the past now. Say hi to Bob for me. I thought it over, then made up my mind to look into it. If it was just talk, I'd drop it. But if even a bit of what Gina said was true, things with Pauline would end. I looked up an old helper, Fred Johnson. He wasn't a detective, but a security guy with a big company I used before. I called him and we had a quick catch-up. Fred, this isn't just for fun. I have a person I need checked out and it's urgent. I'll send over all the info and photos soon. Don't hold back and take a month. She gets around and I need the whole story. Sure thing, my friend. Starting next week, she'll have 4 people watching her all the time. How deep do you want us to dig? Should we get into her electronic stuff? Yes, I want it all. Phone calls, emails, texts, everything. And take lots of pics, especially if she's up to something fishy. I gotta ask, is this business or personal? Personal. There was a long pause. Okay, I'm sorry, my friend. Don't be. It's better to know than to be in the dark. Thanks, Fred. The next few weeks were tough for me. Pauline noticed something was off and kept asking if I was okay. I blamed it on work stress, and she stayed close. At the end of the month, Neville called. There's not much to tell. She went to work, then home or to her hotel. She didn't do anything wrong with anyone, but his tone hinted at more. But it looks like she had a fling at one of her work stops a few months back. It lasted 3 months, then ended. It's just talk from coworkers and boasting from her fling about catching someone important's wife. What worries me more is a chat we heard when she was eating out with a friend. Here it is. A strange woman's voice played. So, how's your love life? Pauline's voice was clear. As good as it gets with my husband. He's really a good lover. Is that all? You've stopped playing? I didn't say that. Jason seemed odd this month, so I've been careful just in case he's suspicious. I doubt he'd have me watched, but better safe than sorry. I'll lay low for another month. Then I think I'll have fun until January. That's when I plan to stop taking birth control and start a family. That was all I needed to hear. The search was eating up about $150,000 a month, but to me it was cash well spent, and I had plenty. She went on for another 5 weeks. Then she lured a guy on one of her day outs, working until noon, then having fun till it was time to head home. I had video and sound of it all and could have ended things right then, but I was too curious. She got close to a worker at the company on a different trip and hooked up with some guy she met at a bar on an overnight stay, staying with him till almost checkout time. I thought about what to do next and chose to go the simple route. A photo speaks volumes, so I printed out a snap from each of her affairs, threw in some spicy texts and emails too. On top of that pile, I left a note. Don't drag out the divorce. I know you picked married guys so they'd stay quiet. Their wives will see these snaps and more by tomorrow. Let's try to keep this low-key. Think of your folks and the company and don't drag them through this. I'll be out of here when you get back. I'm not running off. Just think it's a really bad idea for us to be near each other now. Don't bother calling or texting, it's no use. I stopped by Rob's, telling him I had to rush back to England for a family thing. He's a solid guy, offered his help right away. I gave him the file on Pauline to look at once I was gone. It was just words, no pics. Didn't want him or Monica to see stuff they'd wish they hadn't. Hitting the airport, I realized the one I felt worst about was Monica. We'd gotten real close, and she was always at our place. Pauline would joke, reminding her I was her husband, not hers. Monica just laughed it off, saying she was lucky Pauline saw me first. She spent lots of time picking out baby names and even painted a room at her place a soft color for a baby. Pauline saw it with her folks. Really, Mom? Monica smiled big. You're not getting younger, you know. Best to get ready. And then I was on a plane leaving their world. It wasn't a small mess, more like a huge mess blowing up. Pauline got back from her short trip, and after we landed in New York to switch planes, I watched her on my phone as she walked in. Jason, honey, are you here? What a day. I just want to chill, drink some wine, and cuddle. We'll order food. Jason? She looked lost because my car was still there. She checked the living room first, then the bedroom and the kitchen. When she got to the dining room, she just picked up one of the packages. She screamed so loud I could hear it. Then she passed out. I texted Monica to hurry over, and in 20 minutes she was there. The door wasn't locked, but she had keys anyway. By that time, Pauline was on the couch, just staring. She wasn't crying, just blank. Monica tried to talk to her a few times before calling for help. While waiting, she picked up some papers, and then she started to cry too. Rob came soon after with a mad look, but seeing his kid, he turned worried. Pauline was in the hospital for 3 days, getting help for being in shock. I felt a bit bad when I heard, but not much. She tried to call me a lot, and I ignored it. I didn't answer texts or emails either. Then Monica called. Hi, Mom. Jason, honey, I'm so sorry. Pauline had a tough time and was in the hospital for 3 days. She's staying with us now so we can keep an eye on her. Her voice got quiet, as if she knew asking wouldn't change a thing. No way. It wasn't just once. She was with at least 5 different guys in the last 14 months while I was hoping we'd start a family. That means she cheated on me less than a year after we got married. It's worse than we think, and I say we get her a therapist. Tears were falling from her eyes, and I felt really sad for her. I tried to make her feel better from miles away, and eventually, she calmed down. "Tell Rob I'm sorry. I'll be quitting in about a month, and I'll be back soon to finish up some work and maybe meet the person who'll take my place. Make sure Pauline knows she shouldn't come near me, talk to me or anything. If she does, I'll quit right away and leave. I get it. We're going to miss you a lot. I'll miss you too. You were like another set of parents, and I loved it. Monica, don't you or Rob feel bad. This isn't your fault. Pauline needs to figure out why she does this and fix it. I have to hang up now. See you in a few days." When I told my mom what happened at her big house in the country, she tried to seem sad, but I could tell she never really liked Pauline and wasn't too upset about us splitting up. I stayed with her for 2 days before moving to a villa in Tuscany that belonged to my mom's boyfriend. It was a secret spot, perfect for some alone time. That was my plan, until Leslie and Carmela showed up and made me feel the same way my mom did. I asked for the truth. Carmela let out a breath. There was always something off about her. You didn't see it, but I saw signs now and then. I had a long chat with her about what you think of sticking to one lover, and she said she was all in. But the way she looked and how she moved told me she wasn't sure. You think she might talk to someone for help. That's a smart move. I hope her helper digs deep to find why she feels shaky. If they do, they can start to fix it. Leslie didn't hold back. I never liked her. I knew she'd hurt you. That didn't upset me. It made me smile. If your pals can't be honest, then the friendship is in bad shape. Looking back, I see my close ones tried to show me what they saw, but I was too in love to see it. You know, you pick up on things well, except when it's about love. Next time, maybe be a bit more careful, Carmela advised. Good advice, Carm. I might not follow it, maybe it's just how I am, but I'll try. What's next for you? I'm not sure, I probably won't stay in Ohio, but that's all I know. Ohio's not bad, said Les, the true Ohio fan. You could go back to your old job. It's still yours. Michael's about to crack. The stress is too much, Leslie added. He's just not good at telling those folks to calm down and work. Models are like doctors thinking too highly of themselves. Leslie burst out laughing and Carmela didn't look pleased. I tried to fix what I said. You're the difference, soon to be Dr. Carmela. Almost saved it, Jazz. But you're right. That's why you were so good at your job. You knew when to listen and when to push. They trust you, knowing you care for their best. They feel safe with you. I came back after 10 days. I took a cab to my condo, wondering if it would be empty. It was. On the dining table where I left my clues, there was a plain letter. I don't know if you're coming back or if you'll ever read this, but I need to say some things. I'm sorry I hurt you. I do love you as much as I know how to love. I get why I did what I did, but I don't get why I keep doing it. I think you were my last shot at being happy, and I messed it up big time. I've been talking to a pricey counselor every day for the past week. My parents paid for it, and he thinks I'm scared of real life. His words, not mine. Me, the spoiled girl, whose dad is one of the richest guys around, who's gotten her way since she was 6, scared of normal stuff like being close to someone and having kids. Before this, I shrugged off the idea, opening another bottle of Andre's fine wine. Yeah, it felt normal hanging out with regular folks. Found out we're not that different. They've got their own problems, dreams, and wants. Maybe not as loud, but just as real. They get jealous, mad, they cheat, just like the rich and famous, but maybe they're more down to earth. For them, getting a small raise is huge, just like a big deal is for the wealthy, and they'd do a lot to get it. So you're saying we all have our issues? Yep, we're all pretty much the same given our habits and where we come from. Man, Jazz, you could be a doctor with talk like that. Not bad for someone whose job was to make pretty people prettier. He told me once I was the most spoiled person he ever met. He peeped into your life after I told him about you. Seems like he got better snoops or your pals thought it was no biggie, but he thought you were different. Known for being tough in business, always doing right by folks you work with, and being kind to your mates. I get that you can't forgive me. If I thought there was a chance, I'd beg you to have me back, in front of everyone. But no drama, here's my offer. Get a lawyer, make a fair split on paper, and I'll sign once my lawyer checks it. You keep your stuff, I'll keep mine, and we part ways as folks who were once hitched. I took some bits from the condo, nothing pricey, just things that remind me of good times. If something's gone you want back, tell my lawyer. I'll send it back, no fuss. This is all I have to say. I'll always carry love for you, live with my regret, and wish you the best. Think of the good times and smile. I sure will. She didn't sign her name. No need. Next day in Rob's office, he was all kinds of sad. I really thought she was the one. Monica and I, we came to love you like the son we never had. She's been crying. Maybe take her out for lunch or come for dinner. I know you're planning to leave, but think it over. I dreamed of handing the business to you and Pauline, retiring early with Monica, going on a big trip, then spoiling the grandkids. You'd have been a great boss. It's hard to think of Pauline being ready for that. I'll sell the shops when I get tired, I thought. Rob, thanks for the job and trust, but it's time for me to go. You must have guessed. Hope to help before I leave. In 30 days, I'm off to Europe for a bit. I looked up at his fish picture and smiled. The girls won't go, and they'll want to fish, so they'll keep in touch. Keep Monica playing golf and give her the time she deserves. She was there for you when you were busy with work. Now it's your turn to be there for her. Monica cried a lot when I went for dinner, but Rob and I were kind, and she even smiled at the end. I took her out for lunch a few times and joked around while Giuseppe watched from afar. Rob and I fished at Holloway Mountain twice more before I left. Sitting on the plane, I thought about my goodbye gift. I paid for a 5-year club membership for them. They should get the letter soon. 2 days before leaving, I got a visit while I was packing up. It was Bob, just Bob, with a sad smile. I wanted to see you before you go. I get how you feel. I lost love once, too. Gina tells me to let it go, but it's hard. Anyway, Gina showed me love can happen again. 7 years and she's still amazing. You're a good guy, Jason. Your Gina is out there. Good luck. And just like that, he left. It did make me feel better. A year and a half passed. I spent a month in a Tuscan villa, alone and healing. I started small, but soon found myself back leading my old company. I never sold it. Just let my team handle the day-to-day while I pretended to be just another manager. I started dating after a few months. With my looks, money, and connections, women were eager to meet me. It was fun, and fooling around with models and rich girls was great, but often by the 4th date they saw I didn't want to settle down. The ones looking for something real left, the ones in it for fun stayed around. But even shallow fun is still fun. Then, Carmela came with a business offer. She wanted to buy a small part of my business for Leslie, thinking it could be something she'd get and wouldn't need much training in. I thought it over and said yes, selling her 10% with the chance to buy 15% more in the next 5 years. After that, when we worked together, Leslie did 2 jobs, modeling and business. Carmela and I helped her grow, and she became much more than the timid beauty we first met. We were doing a swimsuit shoot for a sports magazine. Standard stuff until a young model, just 18, threw a fit over not getting the cover and ruined 2 days of work. Time is money, especially in our line of work. Leslie was handling it and called me with her plan. It sounded so interesting I stopped what I was doing and flew to the island. I arrived just in time for the meeting with Leslie, the model, and her agent. I brought a manila envelope with me, passing it to Les. She peeked inside and smiled. The agent started the meeting, hoping we could find a way to make things right. She was so pretty he didn't get why we said no to her for the cover. Then Leslie lost it. Natural beauty? Almost nothing about your client is natural. She changed her nose, fixed her hairline to hide a big widow's peak, made her cheekbones smaller, and made her lips less full. And after this, she plans to change her chin. So what natural beauty are you talking about? She tossed a photo onto the table. It showed the model at 13, with braces, big glasses, bushy hair covering her forehead, a big nose, and a round face. The model saw it and passed out. She was from South America, a place where looking good is a big deal. If you see a perfect-looking woman from there on a stage, it's safe to say she didn't always look like that. Les didn't back down. No matter how she became beautiful, she's still a knockout. This job will help her, and maybe she'll get a cover in a year or 2. But not this year. When she wakes up, tell her if she's not ready to work by noon, forget it. I've got 2 others hoping she'll bail. Tell her also, pulling stunts like this won't help her. She'll find it tougher to get good jobs, at least with us. We clear?" The agent nodded fast. We left while he sorted it out with her. Models like grain or corn are there to be used. If they don't fit, their worth drops. Better they learn that fast. I have to say, the new faces in the biz are a lot sharper and no more than those from 10 or 15 years back. They see it for what it is, a job. Leslie smiled big when I told her she did great. "I didn't even need to talk about the eye fix or the ear pins. There's likely nothing on that girl that's not been changed. Can you stick around for a bit? I've got a nice surprise for you." "I can stay till tomorrow noon. Then I need to join the team for some cold photo shoots at the top of the world." Leslie shook a bit. "I recall my first cold shoot. I thought I'd turn to ice. You got the hot room ready?" "Right behind the shoot. We'll snap a pic, maybe less, then dash them to warmth. Nothing makes you want to nail it quite like the chill." Carmela came flying in, and I filled her in on how tough her love has gotten. She just gave a big smile and hugged her even closer. We shared the fancy room less booked and had a nice night, remembering the good old days. We went fishing with Rob last go-round at home. Monica still cries when your name comes up. They can't believe you got them into the club. They earned it. It was really kind of you to fly them out to see you and your mom and her new man at his big house. He's a nice guy. He is. He lost his son in a fight far away, early on when the English were still all in, and his girl to a mistake at a party. He was kind of alone till he met Mom. I saw the pictures. You're like the son he lost. Monica was going on about how they can't wait for you to have kids. I'm not ready to go down that road yet. I still think the right one will come along. I thought about their smiles as I fell asleep. They had something up their sleeve, and that something was a tiny island queen, standing 5 feet tall. Marta snuck up behind me, full of wonder about why her friends had asked her to come. They had grown close and supported the book project she led on her island. She had opened 5 schools there, all running on gifts. I sent a good chunk of money their way twice a year, and I knew the girls had got their pals to chip in as well. With all our help, 220 kids got to learn, eat enough, and wear clean clothes. Marta picked the top parents for different tasks, like cooking, fixing up the place, and driving, doing everything needed to keep the schools going. They got the best teachers and paid them well. Their second batch of high school seniors was about to finish school soon. Seeing who was with them, she let out a yell that told everyone on the island she was there, and ran into me so we both fell into the sand. The girls helped us up with big smiles. When I sat down, she climbed into my lap and wouldn't budge. After what felt like the 40th kiss, I finally got to tell her how thrilled I was to see her. "I've missed you, my little island queen." "I know. The priest keeps me updated. Oh, before I forget." She took out a tiny bottle and sprinkled some of it on my hair and shoulders. "What's this?" "The last of the love potion I've had for nearly 4 years. You're stuck with me now." Looking into her lovely face, I thought, maybe this time I won't try to leave. A year after, I stood under a flower arch in a garden in Tuscany waiting for my bride. The place was full of models, most were friends, and some just curious about who won my heart. The music group began playing a soft tune, and there she was in a simple yet elegant dress, pearls and lace lightly around her head. She gripped the arm of the man walking her down the aisle. I had asked Rob and Monica, and they made it, which was a nice surprise. They had become pals with Mom and my new stepdad, and they visited us 2 times a year. When Monica met Marta and learned her parents died in a plane crash, she jumped in to help like a mom for the wedding. Rob felt if Monica was doing that, he should walk the bride down. When the priest asked who gives the bride away, he said loud and clear, "Monica and I do." My best man had a big smile. Carmela wore a sharp tux like mine, but in a way that showed she was a lady. Leslie was all dressed up in pink, standing by Marta as the main bridesmaid. As the day ended in Tuscany, with the smell of grapes and cut grass in the air, Marta and I became one. I took the light veil off her lovely face, and we kissed for the first time as a married couple. I held her close and thought I could feel a baby bump, but she was just 2 months along. The party went on late. The last thing I saw before taking my bride upstairs was Carmela and Leslie dancing close. Mom and Nigel were nearby, then Rob and Monica. The next morning, everyone was a bit slow with hangovers, but the mood picked up when Marta said our first kid would come in late March. I had flown in 2 uncles from my dad's side, their wives, 2 cousins, and their husbands. My granddad wanted to come but wasn't well. Marta said we would visit him soon. 6 weeks later, we were in the mountains of North Carolina, in a big old house. My granddad really liked the little one we called Goddess. The cousins, uncles, and aunts were unsure at first, but soon felt at ease. I took Marta for walks by the streams and fields where I grew up. Then she surprised me. "Can we buy a holiday home here?" I showed her the 80 acres my dad left me. There was a simple house there, and my cousin lived in it, looking after the place. Marta didn't care for it. She pointed to a spot halfway up a hill. "There, I want a woodhouse there," what she thought a woodhouse should look like, and what I thought were very different. Mine was all one big room, and hers had 2 floors and 6 rooms. Guess which one we ended up with? The first night we stayed in it, I knew we'd end up living there forever. Marta traveled with me for work like she always did, until it was almost time for our baby. I made sure all my work went to my partner Leslie, starting 2 weeks before the baby was due and for a month after. Our son, Jason Halson Jr., was born without much trouble, the doctors and nurses said, but it hurt Marta a lot. I didn't want her to go through that again. When I told her, she stood up tall and told me off. I never mentioned it again. 2 years later, Maria came along, and then a year after, Angelique. I thought we had enough kids, but Marta had a look that told me it was her call. Then we had twins next year, and Marta said that was it. I got to pick the twins' names. The boy was Andre Robert, after my stepdad and Rob. Little Ashley Monica, named after my mom and Monica, was just like Marta, even how small she was. She was the baby of the family, and her size might be why. Both sides of grandparents loved all the kids a lot. Monica chose a little home near my mom, and they bought it. Something big made Rob think over his life, and he sold his businesses for good money, and they retired. They stayed in Ohio for a bit, then moved to Tuscany. One day I came home to see them holding the twins. My mom and stepdad were smiling big at me. "What?" Monica noticed me looking. "Your kids are the closest we'll ever be to being grandparents. Better get used to us being here." Both grandparents went looking for a house and found one less than 10 miles away. Over a few months, they moved in after fixing and changing the place how they liked. I dropped by one day to see Monica in a rocking chair, holding my youngest girl, tears in her eyes. She was looking at a picture of Pauline. One night, Rob called, very upset. "Jason, can you come? Something bad happened." I thought of Monica first. "Is everything okay?" "No. Pauline passed away last night. From time to time, they shared little bits about her life with me. She kept seeing her therapist and seemed to get better. 3 years later, she got married again and was happy for a while. They even thought about having a kid, even though she was almost 40. Then she found out he cheated on her. Not once, but twice. When it happened a 3rd time, she started to divorce him. He thought he would get a lot from the divorce, but everything was still in Rob's name. They had to sell the house and split what they got, and Pauline had to pay him for 3 years. Right after the divorce was official, Rob fired the guy. He tried to take Pauline to court again, but his lawyer said it wouldn't work and would cost a lot. He left town and no one cared where he went. Pauline fell into a deep sadness. She told Monica it was payback for how she treated a lot of men in her life, and she had to live with it. A year later, she seemed a bit better. Then she didn't show up for work for 2 days. Monica couldn't reach her, so she went to her house and found her on the floor. No drugs were found in her body, just the usual meds. The doctors said she had a heart stop. It was odd since she looked quite well. Marta and me helped set up her goodbye. Many showed up at her service, a lot from the group she gave money to. Most were sad, but some were there to check if the funds would keep coming. Rob's look told me those days of giving might be over soon. Bob and Gina came, and we spoke for a bit after. "It's sad," he said. "She had money, looks, and a good life aside from love troubles. Last I spoke with her about 6 months back, she seemed happier, excited about a new project I started to help things move more smoothly. I hope she found some happiness in her last days." I hoped so too. She was only 43 when she left us. I wonder what she thought about in the end. What did she wish for? What made her happy? Rob and Monica tried to keep going, but the spark was gone. Then came the twins, and we made our choice. 10 years later, Rob, nearly 75, had us over for a chat. "We're getting on in years," he said. "We won't be here much longer." We've decided. The kids will get half of what we have with Marta in charge. With what you have and your work, they'll be set. But we want them to have this. The rest will go to a good cause, the Pauline French Foundation. You two will help lead it. What could we say? Monica left us first, 2 years after. Rob lingered like an old car running out of steam until he passed 9 months later. We flew back to Ohio to lay him to rest next to his wife, in the same graveyard where both their parents and Pauline were. It was a family spot. Andre and Mom left us soon after. Andre had written us a letter about how happy he was to have a family again after losing his kids, and how our kids made him feel alive again. I talked a bit at his funeral, saying how lucky I was to have 2 great dads in my life while Mom cried in Marta's arms. When Mom died and they read her will, we couldn't believe it. We had no idea how much Andre had or that Mom had an estate worth $3 million. We got a house in England, a house in Tuscany, and some really important business property in 4 countries. After we paid the taxes, we still had a lot of money, so Marta and I stopped working. We kept ourselves busy, though. Marta kept helping her schools, but now, with more money, she made her support 3 times bigger. I started running the foundation. There's a big painting of Pauline, looking fancy and smiling, at the entrance of the building for the charity. We also have smaller paintings of Rob, Monica, Andre, and Mom. I had them made to honor them. May they all rest in peace. We lived in Tuscany for 2 more years, but with everyone gone, the place felt too sad. So we moved to our cabin. Their cousins find it funny hearing the kids talk. One moment they speak perfect French or Italian, the next it's English with a posh twist, and then they shift to throwing in y'alls. And if they start speaking Haitian Creole, they just give up and walk away. I'm almost 60 now and feel it, while Marta looks forever young, just as stunning at 54 as she was at 34. People might wonder why she sticks with an old guy like me. She jokes it's because I'm rich and I still got it. I hired a well-known artist who mostly draws animals to make pictures of Carmela, Leslie, Marta, and me to hang in our charity's small art room after we're gone. He made a heart-touching painting of 2 kids enjoying a sled ride right before they met a sad end as a kind act for a buddy. It's not shown to all, but I got to see it. It makes you cry, seeing the kids' happiness, not knowing it's about to end. He also made a stunning painting of the lady he would marry, a famous writer for kids that looks so real like she could walk right out of it. His charge was high, but worth it. I gladly paid him what he asked. I tidied up my workspace and left for the weekend. My kids and their families were at our holiday home. Everyone was there. Our kids, the 5 grandkids, and their partners, celebrating our 25th anniversary. I had a special surprise planned for Marta. I had stopped at the Creole food place, now run by the next generation, with a special ask. They gave me a small bottle of white powder. It looked kind of like drug stuff, but was probably just baking stuff. Whatever it was, I planned to sprinkle it on my wife by evening's end. I thought of it as a little extra glow for her. Hey, audience! If you like this video and want to keep up with more thrilling stories, make sure to subscribe to Prince Cheating Tales and hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss out on our upcoming adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next wonderful story.